Star Wars Imperial Handbook. Introduction by His Imperial Majesty Emperor Palpatine. The Empire has existed for 19 years, but stands poised to reign for 1,000 more. The shift from a republic to an empire represents a transfer of power unprecedented in the history of the galaxy. But the republic could not continue, and its people were desperate. When the assembled politicians of the Republic refused to choose between success and ruin, I made the choice for them. We have achieved glory in unification. Under the Empire, we celebrate one ruler, one code of law, one common tongue, one education and social progress. And the Empire has no tolerance for those who would disrupt this unity. Violence must be met with violence. It is the only language understood by rebels and traitors. As a commander in my service, you are part of the largest fighting force in the history of the galaxy. Learn your place and do your duty. Emperor Palpatine. The Imperial Military. The Empire is vast, and our agents are everywhere. Through this, we demoralize our foes. Through this, we inspire our loyalists. The scale of the Imperial war machine is unprecedented. Never before in the history of the galaxy has such a fighting force been assembled. Never in such numbers, never with so much variety, and never on so many worlds. There is little in the galaxy that is not under the Empire's control, and it is but a trivial act for the Empire to annex a new world when the Emperor wills it. That does not mean our challenges are non-existent. It is easy for citizens to slip into indolence and sloth, from there be swayed into criminal or be treasonous. The Imperial military is ever present to remind citizens of the consequences they face if they stray. Those that are loyal find great comfort in the Imperial military, who ensure alien barbarians will never run wild over the cities of their home planets. This manual is issued to you, an officer in the Emperor's service, so you may grasp the scope of your responsibilities and the honor bestowed upon your rank. The Empire's New Order. Our Path to Victory. The blueprint for Emperor Palpatine's rule is called the New Order. It is a fitting name for a system that has jettisoned the impracticalities and clutter of the Old Republic. The New Order is a direct response to the Old Republic's failures and a wise correction to its excesses. Under the New Order, failed everyone is right democracies have been replaced by a clear structure, one that is both authoritarian and militaristic. Its tenets are upheld by the Commission for the Preservation of the New Order, COPNOR, and the benefits of such a structure include centralized authority. There is no question of who is in charge, and it eliminates grandstanding charisma among senators. An overwhelming military. If danger threatens the Empire, from within or without, our armed forces respond with a swift, merciless retribution. A reliance on what is required, not as was desired. Bare essentials are the core of efficiency. Imperial framework is reduced to its essence, revealing function through form. Core-centric political rule. This is necessary concession, as the alien species of the Rim are notoriously unpredictable and given to violent outbursts. The history of the Republic Senate is proof that primitives are not fit to hold court in our institutions or even to govern their home worlds. By assuming direct control over Rim affairs, we are doing these populations a great mercy. In extreme cases, it has been necessary to orchestrate strategic extinctions in the interest of galactic security. Nationalization of commerce. The Empire approves of corporate competition and even established a corporate sector where transparent mercantilism could occur without interference. Nevertheless, no company should line its coffers at the expense of the greater good. The Empire has nationalized many long-standing corporations, including Taggart Co., Kuwait Drive Yards, and the South Senar, allowing engineers to contribute to our collective prosperity. Cultural dominance. The Commission for the Preservation of the New Order recognizes that authority is more than dominance of the battlefield. It is also dominance of the mind. Copnor's Coalition of Progress monitors artistic works to ensure they show proper veneration toward His Imperial Majesty. Artists who exhibit subversive tendencies are provided the necessary re-education. By our own hands. The Jedi Order is in the past. No longer will proud humans suffer under the elitist rule of the aberrant bloodline. Their tricks have been revealed, for the shams they always were. If the Jedi had any true power, would they have been cut down so easily by clone troopers? Lord Darth Vader and other high-ranking acolytes are rumored to possess illusion-making skills similar to the Jedi, but they have pledged to employ them in the full cooperation with the Emperor's wishes. Any who don't are to be exterminated. The Imperial subjects want nothing more than peace. The New Order is a welcome change for those whom the ravages of the Clone Wars are a fresh memory. As a commander in the Imperial military, you are an influential figure. Through your actions, you will inspire recruits to join the Academy, increase the number of Copnor enrollees, and persuade citizens to take responsibility for their neighbors' actions and report them. All this will prove valuable when the Imperial military is called to bring the hammer of justice down on the rebel hotbed. History of the Galactic Empire. Our glorious future. It has been less than 2 decades since our Emperor first issued his declaration of the New Order. While some recruits have only dim memories of the previous era, or no memories at all, many of us can recall the shocking excesses that made Palpatine's proclamation inevitable. Even today, you will encounter some who argue that the Republic could have been saved through reforms and corrections. Those who say this are fools. The Galactic Republic lay at its own waste for millennia. Give the system time to work was the cry I heard time and again. 1,000 years is enough to establish whether a system is viable, Senator. If a patient has been injected with slow-acting poison, a surgeon will cut off the limb before it reaches the heart. Emperor Palpatine possessed similar wisdom. His speech before the Senate struck some as arrogant, but their opposition gave the New Order its first list of enemies. Those who had stood against Supreme Chancellor Palpatine during the Clone Wars found they had placed a losing bet. Where are they now? If you have a strong stomach, check the Imperial execution logs. Militarization is the cure for the disease of the Old Republic, wrought upon the galaxy. The New Order provides the salvation through the Imperial Navy, Army, and Stormtrooper Corps. Structure of the Imperial Military. An unshakable foundation. Any machine can be understood by examining its parts. The Imperial military is no different. The military ultimately answers to our Commander-in-Chief, Emperor Palpatine, but our highest organizational body is the Imperial High Command. This committee oversees Naval Command, Army Command, Stormtrooper Command, and all support branches. Regardless of the threat, the Imperial High Command must coordinate the proper combination of ground, air, space, and special op forces to achieve the mission objective. Imperial High Command also synchronizes our military efforts with those of the Imperial Intelligence, Copnor, and other intergovernmental partners. The Imperial High Command has authority over the following military branches and divisions. Imperial Navy. The Empire's spacefaring force embodies Imperial power through its Star Destroyers and other mighty warships, as well as the squadrons of TIE fighters. See detailed analysis in Part 2. Imperial Army. The Empire's planetary invasion and occupying force is known for its AT-AT walkers and heavy assault vehicles. in addition to the courage of its frontline soldiers. See detailed analysis in Part 3. Imperial Stormtrooper Corps, the Empire's first strike force, with their distinctive white armor, operates in hazardous environments across the galaxy. See detailed analysis in Part 4. Imperial Department of Military Research. The Empire's Weapons Research Division manages numerous top-secret projects that have resulted in outstanding new warships, armaments, and battle stations. See detailed analysis in Part 5. Imperial Diplomatic Corps. The Empire's diplomatic branch is an oft-overlooked but necessary function when dealing with hostile worlds. The ambassadors and negotiators attached to the diplomatic corps ensure that occupied populations adhere to the Emperor's dictates, reducing the need for pacification by force. Imperial Engineering Corps. The Empire's engineering branch is tasked with constructing garrisons and other structures of strategic value, including ore mines, power generators, and space stations. Imperial Survey Corps and Exploration Corps. The Empire's mapping and exploration divisions are attached to the Imperial Navy. These frontier scouts help expand the Empire's borders by identifying worlds primed for conquest and exploitation. Imperial Surgical Corps. The Empire's medical branch operates in surgical theaters and aboard Navy warships near planetary battlefields. Their knowledge has been used to develop new methods of biological warfare. Imperial Military Police. The Empire's internal military police force keeps order within the ranks as needed, though our troops are so well disciplined that such action is rarely required. How can we manage a galaxy? Our vision. Planetary governance under the new order flows top-down from the central authority. The Imperial military maintains order to keep the Empire prosperous and secure. As you will see, we are taking steps to make this hierarchy even more efficient. Dissolution of the Imperial Senate. The Imperial Senate will no longer exist by the time you read these words. It served as a traditional buffer between the Old Republic and the New Order, but it has outlived its usefulness. By cutting the last ties to the past, the Emperor will banish the failed philosophy of the representation by majority. Instead, senators, Imperial subjects, will now have the benefit of sector governors to administer to their needs. For too long, the Senate has been a refuge for the defiant. Those who oppose the Emperor's rule fancy themselves noble idealists, and their puffery has come dangerously close to treason. They will no longer have an official outlet for their lies. Imperial intelligence reports that some members of the Senate have begun collaborating with the Rebel Alliance. They have been identified and will be dealt with. You will see public communications stating that the suspension of the Senate will last the duration of the emergency only, but know the Emperor's decision is final. Redistricting of the Imperial territory results in increased efficiency. Our new oversectors are comprised of many small sectors. This structure allows for the direct command of military forces, control of information, and more efficient taxation of Imperial subjects. The regional governor, or Grand Moff, commands such oversector. A sector governor, or Moff, administrates each small sector. The governors have direct political and military control over their territories. As a military commander, this structure is your greatest asset. Politicians will now back your actions. You will not be pulled in competing directions, for the chain of command is clear. You are free to enforce the Emperor's will through strength of arms. Propaganda controlling the narrative. The Commission for the Preservation of the New Order, or COPNOR, organizes institutional and public support for His Imperial Majesty and the precepts of the New Order. Membership in COPNOR is popular among loyalists, for it is the most viable way to demonstrate faithfulness to our ideology. Through COPNOR's cultural and youth groups, the Empire can control the story and the reactions of its subjects. The volunteer patriots of COPNOR keep watch on their neighbors and inform us of suspected collaborators. Copnor also operates its own paramilitary unit, CompForce. The media news nets are no longer private entities. Imperial Holovision is now the official outlet for public consumption of current events. Other unofficial entities, such as the Trinebulan News, Prenatal Tax News, and the Core News Digest, understand that publishing a story or spreading any disloyal sentiment is punishable. Spies and secret police are invisible soldiers. The advanced work and findings collected by Imperial Intelligence and Imperial Security Bureau are vital before a battle can be launched. These agencies are the central intelligence services for the Empire. Spies can be just as valuable as soldiers with the information they can gather on the strength and composition of enemy forces. However, the notorious Bothan spy net is not under Imperial control. We suspect they are in league with the Rebel Alliance. Imperial Intelligence. As the close of the Clone Wars and the agency known as the Republic Intelligence was restructured into the Imperial Intelligence, the agency gathers information through passive and active surveillance. Its covert agents infiltrate planetary governments and criminal syndicates, including the Hutt cartels and the Rebel Alliance. It is overseen by the Apotherians, a secret board answerable to the Empire, and the highest echelons of the Imperial Command. The only acknowledged member of the Abitoriate is the Director of the Imperial Intelligence, who serves as the public face of the agency, who concealing the full scope of the agency's operations. Divisions of the Imperial Agency's intelligence include analysis. This group processes staggering amounts of data pulled in every second from every world in the Empire. Among this division are the following sections. Media examines the news nets to search for negative sentiment and hidden meanings. Signal monitors carrier waves, image packs, and more to locate valuable information disguised as line noise. Cryptanalysis breaks codes and ciphers. Tech reverse engineers hardware to develop new listening and recording devices. Interrogation draws information from enemy agents through one-on-one questioning. Intelligence. This division takes the data from analysis and uses it to predict movements of the Empire's enemies. Sedation flags any group with the potential for organized resistance. External communications, or XCOM, relays highly secure messages between intelligence and the military. Bureau of Operations. Being the core of the agency, this group oversees 6 subdivisions of critical importance. Surveillance identifies suspects for observation and follow-up. Retnick, or counterintelligence, uncovers enemy infiltrators within our own command structure. Diplomatic service handles treaties, annexations, and other political missions. Infiltrations dispatches highly trained agents for deep cover operations. Destabilization unbalances local governments, making military conquest far easier. Assassination eliminates targets with quite efficiencies. Imperial Comlink. This group scans communications across HoloNet and subspace, intercepting data and flagging troublesome words or phrases. Sector Plexus. Charged with storing all data collected by Imperial Intelligence, this group manages the largest database in existence, dwarfing the digital library of Orbusque. Internal Organization Bureau. This internal affairs division ensures the loyalty and the incorporation of agents and personnel. Adjustments. These Black Ops agents report directly to the Übertring. They are called as a last resort when other operatives fail. They have substantial resources for their disposal, including experimental gear developed by the Imperial Department of Military Research. The Inquisitors. The Inquisitors are the Emperor's shadowy agents. They are among those whom the Emperor calls at his dark side adepts. Chief among their duties is to hunt, capture, and interrogate Jedi. Some of the inquisitors may even be former Jedis themselves. While classified as part of the Imperial Intelligence, the Inquisitors Division reports directly to Emperor Palpatine. The Imperial Security Bureau. The Imperial Security Bureau operates in parallel with the Imperial Intelligence, and many of its functions overlap with those of its older brother. Yet the IBS is the recent organization founded under the auspices of the New Order. It exists to ensure ideology consistency within the Empire's internal operations. The agents of the ISB are essentially the Empire's secret police. Branches of the ISB include surveillance, tasked with uncovering disloyalty and inefficiencies. This branch reports all infractions directly to the central ISB hub on Coruscant. Investigations, an interagency group that coordinates with the Imperial military to undergo infiltration and undercover surveillance. Internal Affairs. This division has broad-ranging authority to police all Imperial agencies including science, commerce, and Imperial law. Re-education. This source of propaganda implements forcible training in the precepts of Copnor for those convicted of disloyalty. Enforcement. A paramilitary force that provides the muscle needed to ensure that other divisions of the ISB have the means to carry out their directives. Interrogation. The agents assigned to capture subjects for information with a much higher success rate than interrogators of the Imperial Intelligence. Imperial Policies. As a commander, you must be versed in the standard Imperial policies for dealing with fringe groups. Bounty Hunters. The Bounty Hunters Guild is now an Imperial allied holding, thanks to an understanding between guild leader Krotok and the Empire's new law enforcement division. If the highest bid makes the rules, as the bounty hunters believe, the Empire's treasury should easily pay for the capture or assassination of our most notorious enemies. Pirates and Privateers. While these groups are similar, privateers are in our camp. They have received a letter of marque by Emperor Palpatine, entitling them to raid enemy shipping on his behalf. If you encounter an Imperial licensed privateer in the Outer Rim, give them freedom to operate if it doesn't interfere with your own affairs. Pirates do not operate under the Empire's authority. The sentence for piracy is death. Smugglers. The incident at Nar Shaddaa is fresh in our memories, and reports indicate that these law couriers are not to be underestimated. Most smugglers are employed by the Hutt cartels. While the Empire does not tolerate lawlessness, the Hutts are important players in the Outer Rim economy. Any aggressive actions to shut down the smuggling trade should first be cleared with Imperial command. Aliens. While always troublesome, many alien populations on the Rim are primitive and very little threat. However, be careful not to ignore them, or you may be forced to put down an unexpected native uprising. Obedient populations may be needed by the Imperial Engineering Corps as laborers. The Rebel Alliance. The directive concerning these traitors is universal. Capture the high-ranking members for interrogation by the SB. Exterminate the rest. Military recruitment. Next generation thinking. The Imperial military is powerful, but its continued strength is only possible by recruiting and training the next generation of officers. As an officer yourself, you know the sharp difference between those who lead and the rank and file. Superior officers are a product of the Academy system. The Academy system predates the Imperial era. Under the misrule of the Old Republic, the academies atrophied. They were reduced to sorry shells of their former glory, turning out graduates to feed the meager forces of the Judicial Department and the Merchant Services. The Empire restored the Academy system and their proud traditions. Training facilities for the Navy, Army, and Stormtrooper Corps exist on dozens of worlds. Some are classified and known only to the members of the Imperial Command, while others are renowned, their names celebrated across the galaxy for centuries. Naval Academies. Officers in the Imperial Navy are trained in the sector Navy academies for commissioning as lieutenants. Promising cadets are enrolled at one of the elite naval academies, where graduates may rise in the rank of TIE Fighter Leader or Star Destroyer Captain. Pressfit 4 Naval Academy. This prestigious fleet institution is modeled after the ancient warrior traditions of Coruscant. Its hangars and landing strips are consistently abuzz. Coruscant Pilot Institute. The CPI is located on the Imperial Throne World. Due to its prominence, it commonly trains the children of famous military families. Army Officer Academies. Army academies act similarly to the Naval Academy. Smaller sector academies feed the candidate pool from several renowned institutions. Rathal Academy. The Academy of Rathal is one of the oldest institutions in the galaxy. Renowned from the Empire, Rathal boasts live-fire training grounds for AT-AT walkers and other heavy assault vehicles. Kuralag Imperial Military Academy. The world of Kuralag possesses this prize among the core worlds. Although primarily an army academy, the facility does train pilots as well. Subsidiary flight camps are located in orbit and on the surface of Kuralag's moon. Stormtrooper Academies. Facilities for training of stormtrooper officers have sprung up all across the galaxy. Now that stormtrooper ranks are no longer filled with veteran clone soldiers. Those who enroll find that stormtrooper academies are notoriously unforgiving. Caradan Military Academy. This institution has existed for centuries, yet, under the Empire, it has shifted its expertise towards stormtrooper training. The academy at Carida boosts the facilities spanning the entire planet. Its stronger than average gravity toughens future graduates. The Royal Guard Academy of Yinkor. This unforgiving planet has a fitting, severe training facility. The Yinkor Citadel instructs members of Palpatine's personal Royal Guard, while smaller complexes train officers of the Imperial Riot Troopers and other stormtrooper divisions. It is doubtful you are clear to know more than general information about this institution. The Imperial Navy. Service, fealty, fidelity. That is our motto, and it guides all dealings with the Imperial Navy, whether you count yourself in our ranks or not. The goal of the Imperial Navy is absolute dominance of known space. The function of the Navy includes blockading ports, preventing supplies from reaching a planet to cripple its ability to fight, bombarding planets, annihilating infrastructure with pinpoint precision from orbit, guarding shipping lanes, protecting upstanding commerce from pirates and smugglers, as well as scarring the criminals into honest work, transporting other branches of the Imperial military, carrying them safely to their destination and supplying them with space and aerial support after disembarkment. The Imperial Army soldiers see themselves as planet-side problem solvers, and the stormtroopers consider themselves elite commandos, but witness the reach of the Imperial Navy. All is ours, both the worlds we defend and the unfathomable void that lies between them. With a single hyperspace jump, we can strike anywhere. Our warships are unequal. Never has our motto held more meaning. The Emperor has raised an uncompromising new dawn. Service, fealty, fidelity, for the glory of the Empire. History of the Imperial Navy. Since the ancient seas of Coruscant lapped Arcadian shores, navies have provided transportation, security, and firepower. The Imperial Navy is still young, but its roots in the Republic Navy of the Clone Wars should come at no surprise. The Republic Navy, in turn, emerged from the Republic's Judicial Department's quiet commerce patrols. But what our Emperor has accomplished since the formation of the New Order is miraculous. Under its policy of aggressive militarization, the Imperial Navy has grown the most. Our reach has never been longer, and our grip has never been tighter. Imperialization transformed the Republic Navy into a true fighting force. Under the Empire, local Navy flottillas were absorbed into a single hierarchy, and shipyards from Kuwait to Jamus roared to life. New warships launched daily. Sleek, angular Imperial Star Destroyers replaced the scarred battle boats of the Clone Wars, and the TIE Fighters became the Navy's signature starfighter. The increased fortification couldn't have been timelier. Resistance against the Empire is no longer a mere nuisance. The Rebel Alliance is persistent, striking from hidden strongholds. The Rebels have acquired formidable assets such as needling energy-shielded starfighters and Mon Calamari cruisers that rival our Star Destroyers in size. The Rebel threat must be met with naval power. Only the Imperial Navy can fight them, and finish them. Only then will we triumphant patrol the star lanes in the name of the Imperial peace. The Imperial Crewer. Like most military branches, the Imperial Navy is only as strong as the men who wear its uniform. Whether a highly trained tactical pilot, or a communication specialist, a docking technician, or an officer aboard a Star Destroyer, the members of our proud service are bound by the Imperial Navy Code. I will honor the Empire in my thoughts and actions. I will obey my superiors. I will never shirk from my duties. I will maintain impeccable standards of conduct and appearance. I will use Imperial resources responsibly. I will complete every mission without hesitation, ambiguity, or mercy. I will recognize that the Empire is greater than myself and be willing to die in its service. I will call out those who do not live up to the standards of the Naval Code. This code unites us in a common cause, from our commissioned officers who command and direct our mighty vessels of war, to the warrant officer specialists, typically drawn from the lower ranks, who provide services including weapons maintenance, hangar repairs, propulsion engineering, sensor scanning, and more. Our crewmen are the foundation of the Imperial Navy. In addition to these crewmen, the following personnel hold highly visible posts aboard Imperial warships. Naval Troopers. These troopers serve as a ship's security detail. They engage in direct combat during boarding operations, or in the likely event that an enemy breaches the defense of an Imperial warship. Naval troopers often work alongside stormtroopers during fast strike operations. Imperial Gunner. These members of the flight branch operate heavy weapons aboard warships and battle stations. All Imperial Gunners are trained in heavy, medium, and light turbo lasers, ion cannons, tractor beams, and missile launchers. Their duties include tracking targets during combat, firing at targets, reloading ammunition, and preventing weapon overloads. Beneath the gutting shell of an Imperial gunner's helmet are polarizing filters to shield against blinding flashes. The helmet's eye slits are displayed computerized tracking data for the wearer. TIE pilots. Don't be fooled by the helmets. TIE pilots are naval graduates, not stormtroopers. They are the best of the best, having endured a gauntlet of strategic and high-sped flights challenges that filtered out the weak. TIE pilots are a closely knit group and tend to keep social interactions within their own kind. Consider this an acceptable trade-off for their outstanding flight performance. TIE pilots regularly face impossible odds inside their recklessly agile, unshielded starships, yet they still come out on top. Imperial Navy uniforms. The following reference will allow you to visually identify the various members of the Imperial Navy according to their particular branch of service. Naval Officer. The gray-green uniform of an Imperial Navy officer includes a double-breasted tunic, trousers, and cap. Only elite Grand Admirals are permitted to wear white uniforms. See separate discussion for rank insignia distinction. Naval Trooper. The all-black jumpsuit uniform denotes a naval trooper, and is done for security duties and direct combat situations. Imperial Gunner. The distinction clamshell helmet and all-duty black uniforms make the gunners instantly identifiable. TIE Pilot. This all-black, environmentally sealed uniform features a life support chest plate with attached breather tubes. Technicians. Specialists of the rank wear light gray or black jumpsuits with a soldier patch and a forearm computer. Naval Officer Rank Insignia. An officer's status within the Imperial Navy is denoted by a specific combination of rank squares and code cylinders displayed on the crewman's uniform. A midshipman. The lowest officer position in the Imperial Navy. Insignia, 2 squares. Lieutenant. Most officers aboard ship hold this position, which encompasses the ranks of junior lieutenant, senior lieutenant, and junior commander. The insignia is 4 squares, 1 code cylinder. Captain. The title held by the ship's commanding officer and includes the line rank of senior commander. The insignia is 6 squares and 1 code cylinder. Admiral. The position of admiral is equivalent to the rank of commodore. Informally, admirals may be addressed as commanders. The insignia is 8 squares, 2 code cylinders. Fleet Admiral. The position held by the commander of a fleet, or the top military official within a planetary sector. The insignia is 10 squares, 3 code cylinders. High Admiral or Grand Admiral. This elite rank is held by only those whom Emperor Palpatine has personally promoted. Grand Admirals wear white dress uniforms, sometimes decorated with gold epaulets. The insignia is 12 squares, 4 code cylinders. Structure and organization. Naval Command is the organizing body that directs all operations for the Imperial Navy. It responds to the direct orders of Emperor Palpatine. Under Naval Command, the Imperial Navy has 4 branches. Number 1. Line Branch. Responsible for the Empire's warships, capital ships, and support ships, as well as their commanders and crew. Number 2. Flight Branch. Responsible for the Empire's starfighters, their pilots, and support personnel. Number 3. Fleet Support Branch. Responsible for maintenance, engineering, including the Engineering Division and the Technical Services Division. Number 4. Support Service Branch. Responsible for specialty systems, including communications, navigations, weapons, and medical services. Formations and deployment. While all operations are directed by the Naval Command, individual commanders have the Imperial Armada at their disposal. They know better than to spend their resources recklessly. Not every situation calls for a hammer. The Imperial Navy force is composed of the following units. The Line. Structure. Typically 4 larger ships, though this number can go as high as 20 depending on ship composition. Commander's rank, Captain, given the title Captain of the Line. The Line is the smallest organizational unit used for space combat. The Attack Line. 3 heavy cruisers or 6 to 8 light cruisers. The attack line actively engages the enemy. If a Star Destroyer line is present to provide direct firepower, an attack line will harry the enemy's flank. The Heavy Attack Line. 4 to 8 medium or heavy cruisers, possibly including a Victory Star Destroyer. The Star Destroyer Line. A single Imperial Star Destroyer. By itself, this vessel is equivalent to a line in strength. Skirmish Line. 4 to 20 corvettes, or similarly small, well-armed ships. A skirmish line engages starfighters and frigates, as well as provide backups for the TIE fighters. The Pursuit Line. 4 to 10 light cruisers or frigates, with enough speed capability to pursue fleeing ships. The Troop Line. 2 assault transports, and 2 medium cruisers, used for ferrying Imperial Army troopers into active battlefields. The recon line. 2 to 4 light cruisers fitted with surveillance and communications gear. Recon lines do not engage in direct combat, but are critical in identifying the locations of rebel hideouts. Squadrons. Composition. Multiple lines, typically totaling between 14 to 60 ships. Commander's rank, admiral. A squadron is a standard unit assigned to a single star system. A light squadron. 1 skirmish line and 1 reconnaissance line assigned to low threat systems. The heavy squadron. 2 heavy attack lines assigned to systems with suspected enemy activity. In situations where pinpointing an enemy's position is required, the heavy squadron may be 1 attack line and 1 reconnaissance line. During aggressive operations against an enemy, it may be 3 heavy attack lines and 1 skirmish line. The battle squadron. 2 attack lines and 1 pursuit line, including at least 1 Imperial Star Destroyer. A battle squadron is typically used for offensive operations against a known enemy. The bombard squadron. 1 skirmish line and 1 pursuit line, including at least 1 torpedo sphere. See Part 4 for information on torpedo spheres. This type of squadron is used to penetrate planetary shields and quell active uprisings on rebellious worlds. System force. Composition. Multiple squadrons, typically totaling up to 90 ships. Commander's rank, Systems Admiral, given the title Commodore. A systems force is responsible for maintaining order across several star systems. Superiority force. 3 battle squadrons and a light squadron assigned to maintain superiority in a given system. The escort force. 2 heavy squadrons and 2 light squadrons whose primary objective is to protect valuable Imperial assets. Transport force. 2 troop squadrons, 1 heavy squadron, and 1 light squadron, employed to transport and deploy Army troops and stormtroopers. System bombard. 3 bombard squadrons and 1 light squadron tasked with carrying out planetary bombardment missions. Force technical services. 8 transports and 2 armed escort frigates, charged with transporting mechanical specialists quickly and safely wherever they are needed most. The support force. Over 100 container vessels tanked with resupplying Imperial depots across the galaxy. The fleet. Composition. Multiple systems forces, totaling up to 400 ships. Commander's rank, Admiral, also given the title of Commodore. A fleet typically operates within a single sector, but it does not represent all the sector's naval resources. Superiority fleet. 6 Imperial Star Destroyers and up to 400 support ships dispatched to low-threat sectors. The assault fleet. 2 transport forces and 2 escort forces tasked to transport Imperial Army troopers to hostile sectors. The bombard fleet. 2 system bombards and 2 escort forces assigned to high-threat, low-value sectors. Bombard fleets annihilate opposition without concern for local infrastructure. The support fleet. 500 small vessels, most of them container ships. A support fleet equips Imperial military forces with weapons, ammunition, equipment, supplies, and consumables. The Deep Dock Fleet. A total of 280 support vessels and 1 escort force, used to support 2 space-based shipyards. These deep dock complexes have over 100 repair bays with hyperdrive engines for easy relocation. The Sector Group. Composition. Multiple fleets, typically at least 2,400 ships. Commander's rank, High Admiral or Sector Moff. A sector group represents the total of all naval forces within a sector and includes at least 24 star destroyers. Even larger naval forces than the sector group can be assembled as regional groups or over-sector groups, but these are not part of the standard order of battle. Imperial Navy ships of the fleet. The Empire's vessels are the greatest in the galaxy and are regularly deployed into action. Most Imperial warships are built within the last 10 years. Their modernity and technology is matched only by their staggering power and size. Most of the older civilization capital ships traveling the space lanes, such as corvettes and frigates, measure about 100 to 600 meters. The heavy cruisers introduced during the Clone Wars, such as the Acclamator, assault ship, and the Victory Star Destroyer, measure 750 to 900 meters and are still in limited use today. However, the ships of the modern Imperial Navy are far larger and far more capable. An Imperial Star Destroyer measures 1,600 meters from stern to stern, and some of the dreadnoughts planned for deployment in the coming years will dwarf even those. Star Destroyers. The Star Destroyers is the primary capital warship of the Empire. Its triangular shape is a refinement of the Acclamator, Vecnor, and Victory Star Destroyer designs. In addition, its sharp silhouette has become a symbol of Imperial power. Imperial Star Destroyer, or ISD. A piercing weapon stabbing from the blackness, the 1,600-meter Imperial Star Destroyer is the pride of the Imperial Navy. Manufactured at Quaid Drive yards for nearly 2 decades, these vessels patrol Imperial space in numbers exceeding the tens of thousands. An Imperial Star Destroyer requires a crew of nearly 37,000 men. Each vessel has enough capacity to carry 20 AT-ATs and many small walkers, as well as the dropships needed to deliver them planetside. An ISD can also transport up to 9,700 ground troops. The weapons of the Imperial Star Destroyer are infamous, capable of reducing a planetary surface to molten slag. 6 heavy turbo laser turrets and 2 heavy ion cannon turrets make up the ship's main battery. Numerous smaller turbo lasers, spaced along the ship's hull, creates a screen of defense against starfighter attacks. Ion cannons and tractor beam projectors offer further protection. Imperial Star Destroyers also serve as starfighter carriers. A TIE-Wing 6 Squadron, totaling 72 fighters, is an ISD's standard complement, including a mix of fighters, interceptors, and bombers. TIE fighters, shuttles, gunboats, and other vessels launch from the hangar in the ship's underway, which are large enough to swallow any captured freighter and frigate. A solar ionization reactor powers the ISD's 3 ion engines and 4 supplemental thrusters. These ships are remarkably fast at sublight speed. Atop the bridge tower sits 2 sensors and a communication globes, which also double as shield generators. Imperial Star Destroyers are the Empire's primary battleship and are the building block for sector groups and battle squadrons. The Victory Star Destroyer, VSD. Imperial Star Destroyers would not exist without this forerunner, which launched into service during the height of the Clone Wars. Measuring 900 meters, the Victory 1 and Victory 2 models are formidable warships that serve as support for the ISDs. However, in the Rim, it is common to see the VSDs operating alone against such pirate marauders. Standard Victory weaponry includes 10 quad turbo laser batteries, 40 double turbo batteries, 80 concussion mission tubes, and 10 tractor beam projectors. A VSD crew numbers between 5,000 and 6,000. The ships are often used as transports as they carry over 2,000 troopers. The tactical advantage of the Victory Star Destroyer lies in its hyperdrive, which allows it to cross the galaxy in half the time of an Imperial Star Destroyer. However, its sublight engines are noticeably slower, allowing most Rebel ships to quickly outpace a VSD. Unlike their larger cousins, Victory Star Destroyers operate well inside planetary atmospheres. It is a glorious thing to witness a VSD making a strafing run in support of an Imperial infantry. Interdictor Cruiser. Interdictors serve as a vital role in the Imperial fleet by blocking the enemy from hyperspace. The most common interdictor service is the 600-meter immobilizer, 481, though Imperial Star Destroyers have also been retrofitted as interdictor models. By projecting a mass shadow from its gravity well projectors, an interdictor simulates a large planetary body in an extra-dimensional space fabric of hyperspace. In practical terms, this prevents any ship from entering hyperspace within the interdictor's gravity range. Additionally, if any ship's path intersects with the mass shadow, it will be forced out of hyperspace and into real space. Interdictors are used primarily to patrol trade routes and enforce custom checkpoints. These random traffic inspections help discourage smuggling. Once an inspected vessel is given the all-clear, it is released from the grip of the interdictor. The Rebel Alliance's hyperspace capability for starfighters makes the interdictor's role more important than ever. An interdictor can effectively cut off their escape route. No longer can a Rebel ambush flee to safety as the first sign of trouble. Super Star Destroyer, or SSD. This warship is not yet in service, but it will be soon. The inaugural ships are taking shape at the Kuwait Drive Yards and the Fondor shipyards. Filling the role of the Starship Dreadnought, 19,000 smart Super Star Destroyers will be the Empire's primary heavy warship and sector vessel. A Super Star Destroyer will require a crew of more than 280,000. 13 engines will propel the ship at sublight speed, providing acceleration far more rapid than its size would indicate. The Super Star Destroyer's weapon will include over 5,000 turbo laser and ion cannon batteries, as well as 250 concussion missile launchers arranged at points along the ship's hull and within the ship's midline trenches. Super Star Destroyers will function as the Empire's primary TIE fighter carrier, troop transport, naval battleship, and planetary bombardment platform. The Empire's ultimate vision is one SSD per sector to serve as a command ship for Imperial forces. The Sovereign and Eclipse class Super Star Destroyers. Though still under development, these ship classes will revitalize the naval combat and ensure the Imperial Navy's dominance through the next century. The Eclipse class is planned at 17,500 meters in length. It will incorporate an axial super laser to penetrate planetary shields and vaporize cities with a single blast. Planned subsidiary weapon systems including turbo lasers, ion cannons, and tractor beams projectors, as well as the same gravity well projectors used by the Indicator Star Destroyer. The massive force section of the Eclipse class will have a hull so thick it can ram enemy vessels with impunity. It is estimated the vessel will require a crew of nearly 700,000. Given its smaller size, the related Sovereign class may come into service first. The Sovereign will measure 15,000 meters, which is the minimum space required to house the generator that power an axial super laser. The ship is estimated to require a crew of 600,000. Imperial support vessels. Star Destroyers are generally too large to make planetary landings. The Imperial Navy employs many types of shuttles and transports to move personnel and equipment from a destroyer to a planet's surface, or to make transfers between ships of the fleet. The Imperial Shuttle. The Lambda-class T-4A is the Navy's most common hyperspace shuttle and general-purpose light craft. It is frequently used as an officer's transport. The shuttle's tri-wing design incorporates a large fixed fin in the dorsal surface, with 2 additional wings that fold up against the central fin when the shuttle is docked. In flight, those wings extend downwards into a 3-point configuration. The shuttle's standard weaponry consists of 2 mounted forward double blaster cannons, 1 rear-mounted double blaster cannon, and 2 forward-mounted double laser cannons. All armored hull and deflector shield generator protect the shuttle's occupants. The Lambda can carry up to 20 passengers and have a standard crew of 6: pilot, co-pilot, navigator, communications officer, gunner, and engineer. The Sentinel landing craft. The Sentinel is the standard heavy transport used by the Imperial Navy. Its folding wing design and cockpit shape are similar to those of the Lambda-class Imperial shuttle. With heavy armor plating and 4 deflector shield projectors, the Sentinel can transport troops into an active war zone and then remain behind to provide aerial combat support if needed. A Sentinel can carry 54 troopers with speeder bikes and heavy equipment. And by reconfiguring the cargo compartment, a Sentinel can carry up to an additional 12 AT-ST Scout Walkers. A Sentinel's weapon array consists of 8 laser cannons, 2 concussion missile launchers, a retractable cannon, and 2 rotating repeating blasters. The craft's standard crew is 1 pilot, a co-pilot sensor officer, and 3 gunners. The Walker Dropship. The Y-85 Titan dropship deploys AT-AT Walkers from Imperial Navy warships down to planetary surfaces. Its heavy armor allows it to withstand sustained enemy fire during its descent, positioning maneuvers, and cargo unload. 2 forward-facing twin laser cannons provide additional defenses. A Walker dropship can carry 4 AT-ATs and 4 AT-STs at a time. Within the craft, walkers are clamped into place by cranes so they can be deployed quickly from floor hatches. Imperial Freighter. The naval refitting of the Gozadi cruiser space frame allows for the transport of the TIE fighters, AT-DP walkers, and stormtroopers between fleets and planetary garrisons. The freighter can carry up to 4 TIE fighters mounted beneath its wings and act as a drop ship for troopers and walkers in active battle zones. The TIE fighters. Under the Empire, starfighter development has flourished. The TIE series may have a checklist of familiar design elements: solar panel wings, an eyeball cockpit, screaming ion engines, but has served as a testbed for revolutionary experimentation. Developed by the CNR, the TIE series is named for the twin ion engines that propel it. These engines are fed by solar ionization reactor, which draws power from the signature solar arrays. Most TIEs do not have shields or hyperdrives, because this feature increased costs, and adding them would reduce the Empire's ability to deploy TIEs in overwhelming numbers. The pilots are uniquely trained to avoid getting hit. The TIE Fighter. The TIE Fighter is the mainstay of the Imperial Flight Branch and the foundation of all the TIE variants. Its engine is a marvel of precision design and requires little in the way of maintenance or tuning. The TIE Fighter's lack of shields, life support systems, or hyperdrive engines dramatically reduce its mass and results in a nimble, responsive craft. The TIE Fighter's weapons include a pair of laser cannons mounted on the chin of the cockpit. TIE Fighter attacks in large numbers to make up for any deficiencies in firepower or defensive strength. Imperial Command considered TIE Fighters an inexpensive, expendable asset. The lack of a hyperdrive means TIE Fighters are dependent on Star Destroyers or other carriers to ferry them into battle. TIE Fighters can also be deployed groundside at Imperial garrisons, but the hexagonal wings can be a liability under windy conditions. The TIE Bomber. In addition to its signature bent wing, TIE bombers have two conglomerated space frame pods, one for the pilot and one for the payload. TIE bombers are utilized in surface assaults and offensive operations against capital ships. They are slower and less maneuverable than other TIE series models, but they can engage enemy starfighters from a distance by locking onto them with homing missiles. Like the TIE fighter, bombers also possess a pair of forward-facing laser cannons. The ordnance pod of a TIE bomber can carry a variety of warheads. Common payloads include 16 concussion missiles, 12 proton torpedoes, 8 proton rockets, 6 space mines, 4 proton bombs, or 64 thermal detonators. The bomber sensor package actively resists hostile electronic jamming. One variant of the TIE bomber replaces the warhead bay with a cargo bay for passengers. Another variant features docking clamps and a hull cutter, and is used to transport stormtrooper boarding parties into action against hostile vessels. The TIE Interceptor. One of the fastest starfighters in existence, the TIE Interceptor is identifiable by its dagger-shaped solar array. Its angled panels just forward, but cut away on either side, provide the pilot with peripheral vision. Most of the TIE Interceptors have 4 laser cannons, one on each wingtip. Others use the 2 chin-mounted lasers found on the standard TIE fighter. Designed to outrun and outmaneuver enemy starfighters, the TIE Interceptor features an advanced ion stream projector that enables in complex combat maneuvers. This craft has earned praise from the flight branch. The distinguished 128th TIE Interceptor Squadron, under Lieutenant Kazan Moore, is one example of what the Empire can achieve when the best pilots are given the best machines. The TIE Advanced. The TIE Advanced is still a prototype, but in the early model it's now in the hands of Lord Darth Vader as his personal starfighter. The craft was built by Chief Engineer Rath Sinar, according to Vader's specifications, and the Dark Lord's positive reaction to the design has raised hopes that it will be produced in greater numbers. The craft has an ongulated space frame and reinforced hull with solar arrays angled towards the body of the ship to create a compact profile. It also features 2 heavy laser cannons and a missile launcher. Most notably, the TIE Advance incorporates a shield generator and hyperdrive. This dramatically increases its cost, but hopefully these improvements will boost performance and consummately level. Early TIE Advance prototypes exist in limited quantities. Gifted to the Emperor's inquisitors and other favorite acolytes, these special ships can be identified by their more compact wing panel configuration and thus smaller silhouettes. Experimental TIE models. I am a pilot, not an engineer. When it comes to the TIE series, I may not be qualified to speak to their costs or compromises, but I have flown them, and I know their tolerances. In my brief time at the Imperial Classified Flight Yards, I put all these models through their paces. These TIEs are either in a limited release now, or they will be soon. The TIE Aggressor. The Aggressor is a strike fighter with heavy ordnance, which classifies it as a hybrid fighter-bomber. Its forward-facing armament consists of 2 low-slug laser cannons and 1 missile launcher. The Aggressor has a crew of 2, a pilot and a gunner. The latter operates the laser turret mounted at the back of the craft's space frame. With this configuration, the Aggressor can pick off pursuers who try to take advantage of the TIE's traditional blind spot. Though the craft lacks hyperdrive, its supply of fuel and consumables allows it to operate for multi-day missions within a single star system. In the Outer Rim, the Aggressor is already being used to harass rebel shipping. The TIE Hunter. The TIE Hunter, commissioned by the Empire's Storm Commandos, is intended to counter every advantage the Rebel Alliance's X-Wing fighters may possess. The solar panels in the Hunter open and close like the S-foils of an X-Wing, and extend in attack mode to provide larger coverage for the Hunter's laser cannons. The Hunter has a shield generator and hyperdrive, and can operate independently of a carrier. It is extremely fast at light speed, but more faster at sublight. Its weapons complement consists of 2 laser cannons, 2 ion cannons, and 1 proton torpedo launcher. The TIE Defender. Still in development, the TIE Defender promises to be the most revolutionary expression of the TIE series, assuming CNR's engineers can figure out how to put the required firepower into such a small frame. The TIE Defender is a shielded, hyperspace-capable starfighter, bearing a distinctive silhouette with its 3 angled solar panels. 2 laser cannons are mounted on the overhead wing, and 2 more are mounted on each of the remaining wings. The Defender also comes with 2 warhead launchers for firing concussion missiles or proton torpedoes, and a tractor beam projector that can slow enemy craft enough to ensure a targeting lock. The craft has an upgraded twin engine that's ion. Maneuvering jets mounted on the tips of these 3 wings give the Defender an uncanny degree of maneuverability. The TIE Defender will be difficult for most operators to handle, given its power and its multiple weapon system. To entrust its controls to anyone other than an elite pilot would be a mistake. The TIE Phantom. The TIE Phantom is currently under development at a classified location. This prototype starfighter is a modified version of the V-38 assault fighter. It is equipped with a hyperdrive and a shield generator, but it is truly remarkable for its cloaking device. Based on classified technology, the cloak offers total invisibility to electronic sensors and the naked eye. The cloak works in tandem with the weapon system, dropping for a split second every time the weapon fires. The Phantom's weapons consist of 2 laser cannons in the fuselage and 3 laser cannons on the tips of the wings. The solar panel wings just directly out from the fuselage, like the fins of a Krakana. Its ungulated cockpit features life-supporting atmospheric circulation. The TIE Phantom is equipped with enough supplies for long-range operations, yet its weapons complement classifies it as an attack starfighter. It goes without saying that the Phantom could be the perfect stealth and reconnaissance craft. The Imperial Army. The goal of the Imperial Army is surface superiority. The reason for this goal is plain. We are living beings. We cannot survive in a cold vacuum, for we are not Minox. Ask yourself, why do the empty spaces between the stars hold strategic value? It is only because the hyperlanes lead somewhere, to worlds fit for habitation or exploitation of their resources. The Imperial Army captures and occupies these worlds in the name of the Emperor and defends them from aggression. To the Imperial Navy, who brings us to our battlefield, we are grateful for the ride, and we offer you our thanks. But only when the Imperial Army has disembarked does the war truly begin. We are not the Stormtrooper Corps. You see Stormtroopers blitzing enemy fortification or establishing beachheads, but often as a heavy loss to their own lines. They have their role, and it is consistent. The Imperial Army, and only the Imperial Army, is equipped to seize and defend a planet. Our specialized formations and heavy equipment may take longer to deploy, but we are capable of decision planetary operations and sustained surface superiority. The Imperial Army encompasses infantry, armored cavalry, special forces, artillery operators, engineers, scouts, and drivers. We are heirs to the noble profession of arms who serve His Imperial Majesty Emperor Palpatine and the precepts of his galactic empire. History of the Imperial Army. The Imperial Army has existed in its current form for less than 2 decades. Yet, we soldiers share a bond with all fallen warriors. Since the first Tong chieftain raised his spear to signal a charge, soldiers have nobly shed blood for the glory of the greater cause. The origins of the Imperial Army lie with the Grand Army of the Republic, assembled in a time of great need to protect a unified, just, and orderly galactic governance from the separatist terror of the Confederacy of Independent Systems. Throughout the years of the Clone Wars, the Grand Army of the Republic enlisted volunteers, conscripts, and career military officers from the ranks of the Republic judicial forces to supplement the vat-grown clone troopers. After the war, the surviving clone troopers formed the backbone of the stormtrooper corps, leaving the Imperial Army clone-free and primed to dedicate itself to the mission of surface superiority. Thanks to the acceleration of military research during wartime, the Imperial Army benefited from inventive, destructive machines. The ATTE provided the template for a wealth of new armored walker designs. So, too, did we gain new understanding into the science of warfare. The human commanders who led the clone troopers transitioned to elite officers within the Imperial Army, where their tactical experience vanquished separatist droids could be repurposed to bring lingering separatist sympathizers in line. The Imperial Army single-handedly silenced the threat of dissent in those early battles. We would gladly have shifted our focus to peacekeeping, but regrettably, treason and cowardice took an ugly new shape, the Rebel Alliance. Without regard for the safety of all true Imperial citizens, these vicious rebels sowed their poison on thousands of worlds. Had it not been for the faithful soldiers who stepped up to preserve the new order that Emperor Palpatine built, the virus would have spread, plunging the galaxy into utter chaos. Look at who they welcome as soldiers and officers, and you will see faces that are furred, scaled, and Google-eyed. From this, you will see that they hate humans as well. The Imperial Army is more vital than ever. Our current state of emergency will not end until the Rebel Alliance has met complete and utter annihilation. The Imperial Soldier. A soldier of the Imperial Army is no ragged recruit from planetary militia. Our soldiers are the Empire's foremost defenders. Every soldier of the Imperial Army must follow these 4 principles. Mettle. You will not flinch in the face of enemy fire, nor will you accept defeat. You will give your life to destroy the enemies of the Empire. Obedience. Obey orders. Never question them. The chain of command exists for a reason. Without it, there is only chaos and ruin. Discipline. Keep your mind, body, and equipment in top shape. They will fail you if they are not maintained. Selfishness. You are not an individual. You are part of a unit. Whether it's a squad or a sector army, you have a role to play within that unit. Remember, the Imperial Army fights to impose the Emperor's rule on planets from the core to the rim. We fight in diverse environments. We fight to break the enemy's will, and by their example, we warn others of their futility of challenging the Empire. We fight, and we win. Mission structure. The Imperial Army serves the Emperor. We do not answer to civilians and are unconcerned with their complaints. Orders come from the Emperor and are transmitted from the Army command down through a clear hierarchy. How those orders convert into specific actions is dependent on the commander's ability to follow protocol. What units will a commander deploy into battle? How are those units used within battle? The answers are determined by set objectives and available resources. The Imperial Army is charged with maintaining and enforcing the Empire's land-based superiority. Often the plans to enforce that power, either by seizing a single hill or subjugating an entire planet, rests upon the smart decisions of a unit commander. Objectives for surface missions undertaken by the Imperial Army include the following: obliterate any enemy possession utterly, engage enemy infantry and mechanized units, provide for the strategic insertion of commandos or expeditionary forces, secure control of key planetary resource or supply lines, hold an objective and destroy enemy attackers attempting to reclaim it. As a commander, you are responsible for setting the terms of the battle. Once the parameters of engagement have been outlined, a commander must move swiftly and decisively. Initial response should overwhelm the enemy with firepower, leaving them only shell-shocked and helpless. Once they are in disorder, strike to disrupt the enemy's plans and expose their flaws. Capture, hold, and capitalize on your objective. Never relent. Let your victory be a warning to anyone who doubts Imperial might. While a resistant population is defined by its location and planet, the Rebel Alliance is a borderless enemy. They are cowards who strike from the void and rapidly melt back into nothingness. When rebels are discovered, the Imperial Army's first priority is to immediately and decisively eradicate their existence. Just as one might sterilize a wound for applying heat, a suspected rebel cell operating in a populated city should be drawn out and then eliminated with extreme prejudice. The Imperial Army need not seek the cooperation of local planetary governments, but should requisition their obedience as necessary. In addition to monitoring rebel presence, an Imperial Army commander is cognized of the criminal underworld. Huts, smugglers, bounty hunters, and others who live in civilization's fringes may not technically be part of the rebels, but they are enemies of the Empire just the same. Formations and deployment. A commander must respond to threats and appropriate force. As the Imperial Army is structured to tackle any challenge, assessing what a situation requires, escalation, additional units, special units, etc., is central to commander's duties. Knowing the major unit groupings of the Imperial Army is vital. Squad is a structure of 9 troopers. Commander's rank, sergeant. Capable of capturing a building. A squad is the smallest unit of the Imperial Army and core to its function. It consists of 8 troopers plus a sergeant who is acting commander. Each squad can be subdivided into 2 fire teams under the sergeant's command. A squad's specialty training and equipment defines their military function. Currently, the Imperial Army contains the following type of squads. A line squad, the basic Imperial infantry unit. Heavy weapons squad. The troopers of this unit are provided and equipped with repeating blasters to provide frontline firepower. Sharpshooter squad. Equipped with sniper rifles, the members of this unit are drawn from the ranks of mission special forces. Engineering squad. These troopers are demolitions and repair experts with extensive tech training and are drawn from the ranks of special mission troopers. Repulsor lift squad. Serving as drivers, gunners, and mechanics, this squad operates 2 light repulsor lift transports. Heavy weapons repulsor lift squad. The members of this squad handle 2 repulsor lift transports, packed with extra firepower in the form of repeating blaster cannons or grenade launchers. Scout squad or lance. The basic reconnaissance squad or lance of the Imperial Army consists of 5 troopers equipped with repulsive speeder bikes or ATRTs. 2 scout lances combine to form a scout squadron. Platoon. Structure. 4 squads. Commander's rank, lieutenant. Capable of capturing a district. Specialization of the platoon level offers a commander's more options to aggressive action for a platoon's deployment may involve heavy armor, AT-ATs, and artillery pieces. Tactical platoons include line platoon, a basic infantry formation composed of 4 infantry squads. Assault platoon. These blended configurations combine 2 line squads with 2 heavy weapon squads. It can be augmented with armored vehicles. Artillery platoon. An artillery platoon consists of 4 dedicated artillery pieces or 8 artillery-equipped light vehicles, along with their crews. Long-range artillery is used to attack distant targets. The function of artillery can be line-of-sight direct fire, such as the V-188 penetrator blaster or the Spetsnaz C-136, the grandfather gun ion cannon. Parabolical indirect fire, such as the Mobile Mortar 3, or the anti-aircraft fire, such as the G-003 Tri-Tracker. Repulsor lift platoon. Composed of 4 repulsor lift squads, repulsor lift platoon are typically used for harassment skirmishes, such as an attempt to disrupt enemy frontline formations. Heavy weapons repulsor lift platoon. 4 heavy weapon repulsor lift squads combined create an ideal platoon to break through infantry lines. Armor platoon. An armor platoon consists of 4 heavy walkers such as AT-ATs or 8 repulsor lift tanks. Each platoon is accompanied by 2 heavy transport vehicles for repair and resupply. Special Missions Platoon. This platoon has a variable configuration based on mission needs. A typical complement may number 2 sharpshooter squads, 1 engineering squad, and 1 heavy weapons squad. A Scout Platoon. Formed from the combination of 2 Scout Lances and 2 infantry line squads, a Scout Platoon specializes in reconnaissance missions during instances of comm jam, and they are used to deliver messages. Company. Structure: 4 platoons. Commander's rank: Captain. Capable of capturing a city. A company is large enough to require the services of support personnel, including those assigned to logistics, medical, and technical fields. Army companies also employ a large number of military-issued droids to resupply troops in the field and to perform administrative functions at command posts. Line company. The standard infantry company is frequently augmented with more than 1 heavy weapons platoons. Assault company or heavy weapons company. 2 assault platoons and 2 line platoons combine to form this multi-purpose surface unit. A Scout Platoon. A cohesive group that consists of 4 Scout Platoons and their speeder bikes. Repulsor Lift Company. This dedicated mechanized infantry unit is formed from 2 line platoons and 2 repulsor lift platoons. The repulsor lift vehicles carry infantry troopers into combat and provide fire support after troopers have dismounted. Drop Company. Capable of operating independently behind enemy lines, drop companies act as pathfinders, scouting out landing zones and resupply points that will be used later during the full-scale invasion. 6-week missions have turned into 6-month missions for these inventive survivalists. Artillery Company. An artillery battery consists of 16 heavy artillery pieces or 32 light artillery pieces. Army Company. With a combination of heavy walkers and armored repulsor tanks, these companies form a juggernaut of power. They can be arranged into 2 main punishing formations. Attack Armor Company, 3 armor platoons and 1 heavy weapons platoon. Emphasis on battlefield versatility. Or the Breakthrough Armor Company, 4 armor platoons, emphasis concentrated destruction. Then we have Special Missions Company, designed to operate in an expeditionary force. This grouping merges 3 Special Missions Platoon and 1 Scout Platoon. Known for tackling impossible tasks, the Special Missions Company uses Scout Lances to identify the objective and mission specials that troopers can demolish the target. Battalion. Structure: 4 companies. Commander's rank, Major. Capable of capturing a major urban center. In our current war with the rebel seditions, a battalion is frequently assigned the role of planetary suppression. In addition to standard and specialized companies, security personnel are also included in a battalion to maintain order within the ranks. A line battalion. A standard battalion configuration is comprised of 3 line companies and 1 heavy weapons company. Assault battalion. This integration of 2 heavy weapons companies, 1 repulsor lift company, and 1 line company is designed to storm enemy fortifications and breach defensive walls. Repulsor lift battalion. 3 repulsor lift companies and a scout company provide easy mobility. Artillery battalion. By joining 1 heavy weapons company to 3 artillery batteries, the heavy weapons troopers can deploy around the artillery pieces to protect them during firing. Armor battalion. 1 breakthrough armor company, 2 attack armor companies, and 1 repulsor lift company provides a versatile and mobile arrangement that has a reputation for surviving overwhelming odds. Special Missions Battalion. 4 Special Missions companies comprise a Special Missions Battalion. It is the largest configuration of Special Mission forces within the Imperial Army. Regiment. Structure: 4 battalions. Commander's rank: Lieutenant Colonel. Capable of capturing a territorial region. The regiment is a formidable army formation, requiring extensive support and resupply. A regimental headquarters is equipped with its own manufacturing workshop to produce spare parts for walkers and additional components. Line regiment. 2 line battalions, 1 assault battalion and 1 repulsor lift battalion, form a standard configuration considered appropriate for a long-term occupation of a planetary region. Assault regiment. 2 assault battalions, 1 line battalion, and 1 armor battalion constitute an assault regiment. There is very little from core to rim that can stand in their way. Repulsor lift regiment. Fast acting and responsive, a repulsor lift regiment consists of 3 repulsive lift battalions and 1 armor battalion. Artillery regiment. A typically artillery regiment is comprised of 3 artillery battalions and 1 assault battalion, augmented by a scout company. As the Rebel Alliance abandons their fortified holdings and scuttles into the shadows, the Imperial Army has been forced to reduce its reliance on artillery. Armor regiment. Few regions can withstand this hard-hitting combination of armor battalions and repulsor lift battalions. The 112th Repulsor Lift Armor Regiment, better known as the Hell's Hammers, is a famous example of a vanguard armor regiment. Battle Group. Structure: 4 regiments. Commander's rank: Colonel. Capable of capturing a continent. An Imperial battle group is unstoppable. On a tactical holomap, commanders can watch as the visual indicators for a battle group gradually spread across the terrain like spilled blood, changing the blue that indicates contested territory into victorious Imperial red. Coordinating battle groups is critical if commander wishes to put down multiple trouble spots on a contested planet. A line battle group is a standard battle group configuration consisting of 3 line regiments and 1 assault regiment. An assault reinforced battle group, composed of 2 line regiments, 1 assault regiment, and 1 armor regiment. This battle group offers a mix of specializations for diverse planetary environments. The 1st Tapini Assault Battle Group has filled this role with distinction, notching Imperial victories during the Rout of Spuma and the humiliation of Barkish. Armor Battle Group. Composed of 4 armor regiments, this battle group is unmatched when it comes to blasting apart concentrated knots of resistance. Mobile Battle Group. 3 repulsor lift regiments and 1 line regiment provides a swift way to mobilize mechanized Infantry. The Corps. Structure. 4 battle groups. Commander's rank, Major General. Capable of capturing a planet. At the Corps level, commanders can expect to see increased input from Imperial agents and the Emperor's political advisors. The headquarters of the Corps is a busy complex that incorporates an automated manufacturing facility. The configuration or type of corps deployed depends on the planetary environment, population, and level of hostility. Line Corps. A standard configuration of 3 line battle groups and 1 assault battle group. Artston Corps. Named in honor of the ancient Artston warriors of the Ketel-Fard dynasty. This configuration is composed of 2 assault battle groups, 1 line battle group, and 1 armor battle group. Armor Corps. Heavy on offensive power, an armor corps is 3 armor battle groups and 1 mobile battle group. Mobile Corps. The mirror image of an armor corps, a mobile corps, emphasizes speed with 3 mobile battle groups and 1 armor battle group. Army. Structure, 4 corps. Commander's rank, General. Capable of capturing a system. An army composed of 4 corps is considered the minimum unit for holding a key planetary system. Systems Army. Comprised of 1 to 3 armies and their supporting elements, a systems army may be deployed across 1 or more star systems. Sector Army. Several systems armies operating within a star sector are referred to as sector army. Due to the political complications of sector administration, a sector army is sometimes answerable to the decisions of the local MOF. Important organizational distinctions of the Imperial Army. Army Command are senior generals who oversee all aspects of the Imperial Army and who report to military high command. Assault Armor Division encompasses all mechanized war vehicles, including walkers, repulsor vehicles, and tanks. Imperial Maritime Division operates on oceans, rivers, and urban waterways, utilizing specialized aquatic vehicles such as destroyers, submersibles, and wave skimmers. Ground Support Wing support fighter craft such as the garrison-based TIE fighters not operated by the Imperial Navy. Vehicles of the Imperial Army. Imperial Walkers, the Thundering Herd, the Welmer Stampede, the Black Banthas. In the Imperial Army, mechanized infantry and heavy armor comes with the sound of stomping feet. Enemies of the Empire are ground into dirt beneath us. These are our walkers. Understand and respect them. Walkers have advantages over treaded and repulsor lift vehicles, evidenced by their designation as all-terrain. Walkers can react to changing surface conditions and shift their footing as a soldier would. Yet they remain firmly connected to the ground to brace against the recoil of their heavy weapons. Walkers can operate freely with atmospheric conditions, such as those on Jeblum and Drogar. Prohibit the operation of repulsor lifts. They are immune to anti-repulsor lift jammers. However, not every walker is appropriate for every environment, and the Imperial Army does not settle for the lowest common denominator. Our walker variants cover every possible need. Walkers, Armored Assault, All-Terrain Armored Transport, or AT-AT. The pride of the Imperial Assault Armor Division, the quadruple AT-AT, stands 22.5 meters and is recognized as a symbol of intense power. The AT-AT has a potent effect on primitive rimmers who see it as a gargantuan beast, as well as galactic citizens trained by propaganda to believe the appearance of an AT-AT means all is lost. A commander must remember AT-ATs, aside from their symbolic function, are troop transports and are not heavily armed as other walkers in the Imperial Army. 2 fire-linked heavy laser cannons are mounted on the chin. The 2 variable elevation mediums repeating blasters are mounted on either side of the head. AT-ATs do not have rear-facing weaponry. To compensate for their blind spots, AT-ATs must deploy in staggered formation and accompanied by support vehicles. The AT-AT carries up to 40 troopers and 5 speeder bikes, as well as modular heavy weaponry to be assembled on site. Troopers disembark by rappelling to the surface. The command cockpit is located within the AT-AT's head and is manned by a crew of 3, a pilot, a gunner, and a commander. The AT-AT can reach speeds of 60 kilometers per hour, and each footfall echoes with a tremor that is felt long before the walker itself looms into view. Planetary garrisons modify their AT-ATs to suit the local environments with additions such as gas filters, heat recirculators, anti-corrosive sheens. Extreme modifications executed by the garrison on Canberra result in the so-called AT-AT Swimmer, a design later produced as the Aquatic Terrain Armored Transport. The All-Terrain Tactical Enforcer, or ATTE. As the first walker to see extensive combat under modern battlefield conditions, the ATTE brought countless worlds to heel during the Clone Wars. The ATTE is essentially the predecessor to the Imperial Army's current array of walkers, and is so well built that many remain in active use throughout the Mid and Outer Rim. Both an assault vehicle and a transport, the ATTE can deploy its 20 troopers from a rear-mounted staging ramp. It is operated by a crew of 7, 1 pilot, 1 spotter, 4 gunners, and 1 cannon operator. Its top-mounted mass-driver cannon can fire bunker buster explosive charges, but it has a very slow rate of fire. The sides of the ATTE bristle with 6 smaller laser cannons. Each position to the walker's gunners can fire down upon infantry to stem the advancement of the enemy. The 6 legs and low center of gravity give the ATTE stability and provide the top speed of 60 kilometers an hour. Magnetized footpads allow the ATTE to scale vertical surfaces or to cling to asteroid surfaces and ship hulls in extraplanetary environments. On rim worlds, ATTEs are utilized as patrol vehicles, painted in local camouflage, and outfitted with modifications such as floodlights, underbrush gritters, and flamethrowers. Walkers, Heavy Cavalry, All-Terrain Scout Transport, or ATST. The bipedal Scout Walker is a lightly armored, agile ground unit operated by a crew of 2. At 8.6 meters in height, the ATST can reach speeds of up to 90 kilometers an hour. Its maneuverability and speed makes it ideal for tight urban confines. The ATST has a double blaster cannon mounted on its chin, as well as a concussion grenade launcher and a blaster cannon mounted on its head. These weapons make the ATST effective at targeting armored vehicles. Its feet feature jettison durasteel claws for slicing through enemy barricades. It all possesses a gyroscope balance system to help it maintain its footing. Variants of the ATST include the Construction Transport, or the ATCT, which features repulsive beams for hefting objects, and the Missile Platform, ATMP, which features multiple missile launchers and a rotary chain gun. All-Terrain Personal Transport, or ATPT. As is evident by its designation, the ATPT is operated by a single trooper. It turns a soldier into an armored elevated weapons platform and adds extra firepower to standard infantry formation. Measuring 3 meters in height, an ATPT can reach speeds of 60 kilometers an hour. It is not typically used as a reconnaissance or hit and fade capacity. Its armor can withstand small arm fire, but not the heavier punch of anti-vehicle weapons. ATPTs generally support infantry and should never be expected to take a fortification on their own. Against enemy troopers or civilian riders, an ATPT can dole out impressive damage. Each ATPT is equipped with twin blaster cannons and a concussion grenade launcher, perfect for shredding tightly packed formations. All-Terrain Recon Transport, or ATRT. The ATRT is a recon walker, is a two-legged, single-pilot vehicle used for reconnaissance, minor skirmishes, and picket patrols. While in use since the Clone Wars, the ATRT is still preferred over the 74Z speeder bike by several notable scouting units, including Lightning Squadron of the 91st Mobile Reconnaissance Corps. Standing 3.2 meters tall, the ATRT can reach speeds up to 90 kilometers an hour and can leap across large gaps. Although its open cockpit design exposes the pilot to hostile fire, it is a necessary trade-off for lightweight construction and mobility. The ATRT is armed with repeating blaster cannon that is effective against infantry and a mortar launcher for long-range strikes on enemy replacements. All-Terrain Defense Pod, or ATDP. This variant of the ATST has a low-set, heavily armored head with a single laser cannon mounted beneath its chin. The blister on the right and left sides of the cockpit are narrow slits that allow crew members to fire at flanking threats. ATDPs are deployed as police vehicles on worlds where rebel unrest seemed probable. Walkers, Artillery, All-Terrain Anti-Aircraft, or ATAAs. Always pointing towards the skies, the four-legged ATAA is invaluable for providing cover against enemy strafing runs that might otherwise decimate an infantry formation. The ATAA is operated by 3-member crew, 1 pilot and 2 gunners. Its top-mounted flank pod, or rocket launcher, has a 360-degree rotation to track airborne targets and bring them down with fire shrapnel canisters and homing missiles. The ATAA is especially deadly when matched against low-flying airspeeders, such as the T-47s favored by the Rebel Alliance. But it lacks anti-personnel weapons. In cases where the ATAA has stood alone against advancing enemy troops, the crew has been known to fire their rifles through the walker's hatches. Self-Propelled Heavy Artillery, or SPHA. The SPHA is a large, slow-moving artillery vehicle with legs. While shelling long-range targets, it must remain stationary. Therefore, its 12 legs are used only when maneuvering between firing positions. Each SPHA is operated by a crew of 30, including troopers who secure the perimeter against enemy attack during the vulnerable process of deployment and firing. The SPHA is modular, meaning its main gun can be swapped out for specialized weaponry. Common variants in active Imperial service include turbolasers, the direct line-of-sight turbolaser cannon, which produces a single destructive beam formed from several smaller beams. Ion cannon, a direct line-of-sight ion cannon used to scramble electronic systems of vehicles and airspeeders. Concussion missiles, a high-angle parabolic missile launcher. Mass driver, a high-angle parabolic launcher which fires a projectile that releases an intense kinetic energy at the point of impact. Thermobaric burst, a high-angle parabolic launcher which discharges a projectile that ignites the surrounding atmosphere at the point of impact and generates a brief but apocalyptic firestorm. Imperial mechanized and repulsor lift units. Imperial armored and heavy cavalry ground units are not limited to walkers. Treaded, wheeled, and repulsor lift units fill a number of frontline roles, from direct fire to reconnaissance. Vehicle capable of carrying troops into battle serve as a mechanized infantry and provide fire support for those troopers after arrival. Light repulsor lifts units, such as speeder bikes, are often used to support expeditionary forces. The mechanized armored assault HAV-W A6 Juggernaut. This turbo tank is a heavy assault vehicle birthed in the fires of the Clone Wars. Unlike walkers or repulsor tanks, the Juggernaut uses a wheeled configuration and can carry up to 300 troopers. At 30 meters tall and 50 meters long, the Juggernaut presents a large target. However, with a turret-mounted heavy laser cannon, a rapid repeating laser cannon, 4 medium anti-personnel cannons, and 2 turret-mounted concussion missile launchers, it is equipped to respond to threats. The Juggernaut has an infamously thick shell made from thermally ablative durasteel armor. Its weight and size can cause issues on certain terrain, but on level surfaces, the Juggernaut can reach speeds of 160 kilometers an hour. Limited lateral movement and a wide turning radius makes the Juggernaut best suited for straight-line assaults on enemy barricades. While the main hull of this vehicle can withstand immense fire, the lookout tower atop the vehicle presents an obvious target. The trooper assigned to the lookout tower should be prepared to draw hostile fire. This predictable enemy behavior has been nicknamed lighting up the lighthouse. The Imperial Class 1H repulsor tank. This mainstay of the Imperial Army since its inception is the signature vehicle of the 112th Repulsor Lift Armor Regiment, or the Hell's Hammer. The 1H repulsor tank sports a standard issue heavy laser cannon, as well as a medium blaster cannon. 2 additional blaster cannons mounted on either side augment what is already a formidable amount of firepower in a compact profile. Be aware of the fact that atmospheric interference or repulsive lift jammers can render repulsor tanks grounded. The Imperial Troop Transport. This armored speeder is a mainstay of any planetary occupation. It requires a minimum of crew of 3, a driver, a forward gunner, and a turret gunner, and can comfortably carry 10 troopers. An ambush transport has the ability to fight back with its 2 forward-mounted laser cannons and its twin blaster torrent, while 6 open-air passenger pockets, 3 to a side, provide cover for troopers as they return fire with their blaster rifles. Any captured rebels can fit with immobilization hoods for transport to the nearest Imperial garrison. Mechanized, heavy and light cavalry, sentry tank. While the Navy may boast of their TIEs, the Imperial Army's TIEs are superior. The sentry tank, commonly known as the TIE Crawler, is a compact assault vehicle propelled by twin treads and operated by a single driver. The sentry tank can reach speeds up to 90 kilometers an hour and is often used as a fire support for infantry. It is armed with a pair of medium blaster cannons on the forward cockpit and a retractable light turbo laser mounted underneath. The sentry tank is the pride of the 71st Elite Mechanized Assault Group. The vehicle's components are modular, thus, in addition to keeping costs low, and this innovation allows a commander to field many sentry tanks at once. The parts are sourced from Santhe Sinar Technologies, which is why they bear the familiar round cockpit of the TIE Fighter. The 74Z Speeder Bike. The 74Z is the primary repulsor lift craft operated by Imperial Scouts. Lightweight and maneuverable, the 74Z is stripped down to its fundamentals to enhance speed. To that end, armaments is scaled back to reduced weight, giving the 74Z a single forward-facing blaster cannon mounted on the undercarriage. With its simple controls and minimalistic frame, the repulsor lift engine can push speeds over 500 kilometers an hour. At those speeds, it has been rumored that the 74Z is unsafe in any atmosphere and a death trap. However, the 74Z's terrain following sensors link up to the visual HUD inside the driver's helmet, giving the trooper perfect vision of what lies ahead and putting to rest the defamatory rumors. The Bark Speeder. Reliable, even after decades of use, the Biker Advanced Recon, or the BARC, has produced in millions during the Clone Wars for military and police duty. The Imperial Army later claimed the bark for reconnaissance and hit a Fade mission carried out by its scout units. Even today, many scouting units operate with barks despite institutional pressure to adopt the nimbler 74Zs. The advantage of the bark, and why it has found a home with so many planetary police forces, is that it rarely needs maintenance and never seems to show damage. Equipped with a turbine engine, 2 blaster cannons on the nose, and 2 more at the rear, the bark is well armed as it is fast, with most drivers operating at speeds in the 400 km/h range. The Stormtrooper Corps. Stormtroopers are the knife's edge. We are the first to go in. We face the enemy when they are strongest. We do not stop until we have achieved our objective. The Imperial Army walks in the path we blaze. We are independent, but complete joint operations with other branches of the military service. With the Imperial Navy, we serve aboard their warships and execute boarding operations against hostile vessels. With the Imperial Army, we seize starports and take out gun emplacements. The Stormtrooper Corps is unconcerned with long-term occupation. We are deployed when our Emperor requires a service and are recalled when he needs us elsewhere. The Stormtrooper Corps is streamlined and ready for rapid deployment. We operate on every planet in the Empire, and thus the white helmet we don is the face of the Imperial military. We are stormtroopers, distinguished by a heritage of physical perfection and unshakable ideology. If we are fewer in numbers than the assembled ranks of the Army and Navy, that is just as it should be. The narrower the blade, the sharper the edge. History of the Stormtrooper Corps. The Stormtrooper Corps is unparalleled. Do not compare us to feeble judicial security forces that existed in the dying decades of the Old Republic. You must look back nearly 4,000 years to the time of the Republic rocket jumpers to find an equivalent corps of elite first attack soldiers. Perhaps inspired by the military glories of previous millennia, our wise emperor authorized the deployment of millions of Camino-grown clone troopers to put an end to the separatist crisis. That was the Clone Wars. The clone troopers, through genetics and training, possessed martial strength that no separatist droid could match. They outclassed their commanders, the Jedi Knights. Under the corrupt political system of the Old Republic, the clone troopers were forced to take orders from sword-carrying pacifists who had no business play-acting as military tacticians. When the Jedi showed their true colors with the assassination plot against Supreme Chancellor Palpatine, it was the clone troopers who put down the Jedi uprising. From those elite, veteran clone troopers, the nucleus of the Empire's new Stormtrooper Corps was formed. Under this proud banner, they continued to fight against the separatist holdouts and radicals who resisted the new order. Yes, the clone troopers had done their job, but it was a role they'd be bred for. Even more remarkable was the swell of young patriots who volunteered to become their example. As the Imperial military expanded, the Stormtrooper Corps diversified. Our ranks soon included snow troopers, sand troopers, scout troopers, and more. These brave men and women survived our training crucibles and proved themselves worthy of being called Imperial Stormtroopers. Unified under a single cause, behind a common mask, each trooper makes the pledge. I am a Stormtrooper. My skin is my armor. My face is my helmet. My name is my number. I am fulfilled, for I am an agent of the Emperor. Academies and training. Elite Stormtrooper cadets carry out their training at the Academy of Carida. The facilities there produce superior Stormtrooper officers. Those who survive their years at Cliffside and Cardia earn the right to lead their fellow Stormtroopers. At Carida, Stormtrooper officer cadets undergo wilderness survival, desert warfare simulation, underwater battle tactics, experimental weapon testing, flash memory instruction in military history, self-discipline through emotional suppression, education in the principles of the Emperor's New Order. Recruitment. The Empire's many victories against the forces of rebellion and chaos have inspired many Imperial citizens to ask how they may serve the Emperor. As a result of what they have witnessed on the Imperial Net News, many seek to wear the polished white armor of the Stormtrooper Corps. Only a few succeed. Most fail to meet the posted physical requirements. Others wash out during training. Passing the merciless standards of the Stormtrooper Corps is a point of honor for those within our ranks, but the unfit need not despair. The Imperial Army and Navy need recruits too. Imperial recruiters actively seek those who desire a career of service and are willing to die for a cause. We are Stormtroopers. We believe in our Emperor. The Imperial Stormtrooper. A Stormtrooper is a select warrior. He cannot be bribed or blackmailed. He is unswerving in his obedience and unflinching in his dispensation of Imperial justice. Stormtroopers are victorious because of our training and our uniformity and our ability to bring overwhelming firepower to bear. We offer our lives for our Emperor. Stormtrooper armor. Basic Imperial Stormtrooper armor is derived from what was worn by the clone troopers at the Battle of Geonosis in the Clone Wars. The armor is made up from energy-diffusing and impact-resistant plastoid. When assembled, the 18-piece suit covers a trooper from head to toe in a protective shell. Rank-and-file stormtroopers look identical to outsiders. An individual trooper can be identified by his squad mates with IFF transponder readouts displayed within their helmets. General citizens and our foes see only a united and implacable face. When enemies witness a stormtrooper fall only to watch a duplicate take its place, they lose the will to fight. However, it is our responsibility as an officer to know the soldiers behind the helmet. Understanding the armor will help you understand the trooper. Number 1. The black body glove. This flexible garment provides insulation and cushioning while also regulating body temperature during exertion. If a stormtrooper is injured, it acts as a compression sleeve to stem bleeding. It will also maintain cellular integrity in the event of a catastrophic reactor leak. 2. Leg segments. There are 2 segments per leg. The lower right leg segment contains auxiliary power cells. The lower left segment has a reinforced ridge over the knee area to protect the exposed joint when firing from a kneeling position. Due to recruiting and rigorous conditioning, all stormtroopers favor the right side and adopt identical kneeling positions. Number 3. Torso section. The chest piece offers the greatest protection from shrapnel, projectiles, flames, and corrosives. Hits from blasters and other handheld energy weapons will disperse across the surface area of the armor's plastisteel. However, close-range impacts will penetrate. Manual controls located on the lower torso section allow the trooper to adjust the environmental regulation of the integrated armor and body glove. Number 4. Arm segments. Forearm segments are reinforced to intercept vibroblades during close quarters combat. With an optional modification, the gloves can deliver stun shocks. 5. Helmet. The Stormtrooper helmet is made of the same plastoid composite as the rest of the armor, but it incorporates an inner layer of magnetic shielding. Filters within the helmet screen out chemical and biological contaminants, while heat dispersal vents maintain a consistent temperature. Polarized lenses collect non-visual data for display in the helmet's holographic HUD visual. The lenses adjust for environmental conditions, such as automatically darkening to prevent retinal damage from explosions. Auditory sensors can record and play back sounds. The processed tone of Stormtrooper speech is a function of the chin-mounted vocoder. Note: The threat targeting features of a stormtrooper helmet only activate when worn by the helmet's designated trooper. This prevents the helmets from being used by our enemies and reduces their value on the black market. Stormtrooper officers. Stormtrooper officers can be products of the academy system or troopers promoted from within the ranks. When out of their armor, officers are designated by all black tunics, trousers, officer's cap, rank, cylinders. In the field, stormtrooper officers are marked by orange shoulder pauldrons and bear specific rank insignia. The armor of stormtrooper commanders is also marked, but with blue pauldrons. High-value commanders are also provided a personal energy shield for use during combat. Stormtrooper equipment. The Stormtrooper's removable belt is standard issue, but the equipment carried on it varies depending on mission parameters. Common items include grappling hook with extendable cable, a C1 military comlink hardwired against jamming, clip for attaching the E11 rifle, blaster power packs for the E11 rifle, wrist binders for capturing prisoners, survival kit that includes emergency rations, flares, and a med pack, electronic lock scrambler, descrambler. Additional equipment is held within the backplating of stormtrooper armor. These items include a pressurized air supply, a volume of emergency air that permits a stormtrooper to survive for up to 20 minutes in vacuum, power pack, rechargeable cells that feed energy to the armor's electronic components, 240 hours per standard charge, encrypted telemetry transmitter, a small embedded disc that allows troopers to identify friend from foe amidst identical armored stormtroopers. Stormtrooper armament, a blaster rifle, Blastech E11. All stormtroopers carry the Blastech E11. This is a lightweight, reliable, and accurate blaster rifle with variable settings that range from single fire to fully automatic. Technical stats. Range, 300 meters. Note, it is best suited for close-quarter firefights, particularly the narrow confines of enemy installations and starship corridors. Settings, stun or kill. Ammunition, blaster packs with power for 500 shots loaded into the slide. Weight, 2.6 kilograms. Feature, optical scope with 2x magnification that interfaces with the tactical HUD within a stormtrooper's helmet. Function, with stock fully extended, it can be braced against a stormtrooper's shoulder to contain recoil. With stock folded, it has a compact profile and can be carried in one hand. Maintenance, regular cleaning and application of anti-corrosive sealant allows the weapon to operate in a vacuum. Modifications, projectile launcher, including grenades and grappling hooks. Heavy weapons, an E-Web heavy repeating blaster. The Blastech E-Web is a powerful repeating blaster capable of penetrating vehicular shielding. It is too large to be carried by a single stormtrooper, but all troopers are trained to deploy, aim, and fire this weapon. Range, maximum 750 meters. Settings, anti-infantry and armor penetrating. Ammunition, energy blasts fed from separate power generators. Weight, 38 kilograms. Feature, can be transported and assembled for firing in less than a minute. However, the EC4T3 generator can take up to 10 minutes to reach full power. Function, operated by 2 stormtroopers. One trooper fires the E-Web from behind a recoil cushioning tripod. The other monitors and adjusts the generator's power feed to prevent overheating. Maintenance, monthly disassembly, inspection, repair, and reassembly. Modifications, High Fire Repeater Settings. Automated Sentry Torrent Modification Kit. Explosives. Key-lock thermal detonator. A single-cylinder thermal detonator with a baridium core is located on the lower back of all stormtrooper armor. The range of this is 5 meters. Settings. Time delay between 6 and 18 seconds. Ammunition. Explosive baridium core. Weight. 180 grams. Feature. Security lockout. Function. Activation is achieved by first entering a unique access code. Each stormtrooper is issued a code at the start of a mission. The keys on the detonator are unlabeled to prevent enemies from arming the detonator, so stormtroopers must employ pattern memorization. Maintenance. Regular inspection for imperfections in the outer casing, full replacement of any damaged units. Modifications. Magnetic and adhesive outer sleeves. Structure and organization. Stormtroopers might be the smallest unit of the Imperial military, but we are a distinct military branch with our own chain of command. Planetside, civilians often mistake stormtroopers for Imperial Army soldiers. In space, it's common for people to assume we're attached to the Imperial Navy. A stormtrooper will not take offense, but as an officer of the Imperial military, you should know better. Stormtrooper Command governs the military operations of the Stormtrooper Corps. The officers of Stormtrooper Command are subservient to the will of Emperor Palpatine. If the Emperor wishes something to be so, it is the Stormtroopers who make it happen. The members of the Royal Guard belong to the Stormtrooper Corps. They serve the Emperor as his personal bodyguards, as they exist apart from the traditional chain of command, taking their orders directly from His Imperial Majesty and his honored cabal of advisors. Formation and deployment. Each stormtrooper is a formidable fighting unit in isolation. Grouped together, stormtroopers can accomplish any objective on the ground, in air, or in space. A squad. Its structure is 8 to 10 stormtroopers. Commander's rank, Sergeant. The squad is the smallest stormtrooper unit typically deployed into a threat situation. Platoon. Structure. 4 to 5 squads. Commander's rank, Lieutenant or Sergeant Major. Note, like the squad, the stormtrooper platoon is variable in size. Company. Structure, 4 platoons. Commander's rank, Captain. Note, Tango Company fought during the Lasan Suppression, earning its members the Imperial Medal of Valor. A battalion. Structure, 4 companies. Commander's rank, Major. Note, a stormtrooper battalion is likely to incorporate many types of specialized stormtrooper units, including incinerator stormtroopers and scout troopers. A regiment. Structure, 4 battalions. Commander's rank, Lieutenant Colonel. Note, a stormtrooper regiment is considered sufficient to seize a Class A planetary starport. A legion. Structure, 4 regiments. Commander's rank, High Colonel. Note, the Legion is the largest defined level of organization within the Stormtrooper Corps. It is the approximately equivalent of an Imperial Army battle group. Stormtrooper Specializations. The Empire contains a vast number of worlds. These planets hang in an airless void, lifeboats bobbing in the Dead Sea. Yet many of these refuge harbors climates hostile to humans. Using a combination of exceptional training and extraordinary armor, members of the Stormtrooper Corps can subdue any environment. Aquatic Assault Stormtroopers, or Sea Troopers. Aquatic Assault Stormtroopers, or Sea Troopers, are deployed in oceanic worlds to pacify threats beneath the waves. The armor's air supply lasts over an hour and is resistant to crushing ocean depths. Underwater mobilization is aided by flippered boots and a backpack propulsion unit. Sea troopers are often ferried into battle aboard an AT-AT swimmer. However, they have the authority to commandeer Imperial wave skimmers and other aquatic vessels operated by the Imperial Maritime Division. Each sea trooper carries a modified E-11 blaster rifle that doubles as a spear gun. Bomb Squad Stormtrooper, or Bomb Troopers. Imperial bomb troopers are trained to disarm explosive devices, from anti-tank mines to primitive spring traps. Their specialized armor can withstand controlled explosions and high-velocity shrapnel. The helmet of a bomb trooper includes sensors for detecting the chemical signatures of explosives. In addition, the helmet will automatically enable full muffling mode at the first sign of a detonation to protect the wearer from eye or ear damage. Bomb Squad Stormtroopers are superior to bomb disposal droids because they are trained to recover the device intact, producing a valuable prize for Imperial intelligence. Incinerator Stormtroopers. Incinerator Stormtroopers bear red markings on their armor to indicate their specialty. They carry oppressor flamethrowers and plasma rifles that release wide beam spreads capable of exciting molecules to the burning point. Trained to lay down flame and reactive chemicals, incinerator troopers are best used against enemy infantry and to purge local villages. Only through therabunic canisters and mortar launchers, incinerator stormtroopers brought about the Imperial triumph known as the Ash Ruination of the New Plimto. Imperial Marines. The stormtroopers of the Imperial Marines provide the Imperial Navy their punch. Imperial Marines are stationed on Star Destroyers and other Navy warships and serve as the first wave boarding party on captured starships. After breaching the enemy vessel's hull with a cutting laser and explosive charge, Imperial Marines execute a shock assault with E-11 blaster rifles, mini-mag PTL missile launchers, smoke pellets, and flash grenades. Imperial Marines are also trained to repel hostiles if a ship's defense is breached. Hazard Stormtroopers. Extreme planetary climates are nothing to hazard stormtroopers. The armor is fully sealed against acidic, electromagnetic, biochemical, and other environmental threats. A 3D air supply enriched with beneficial bacteria circulates throughout their suits. Stormtroopers selected for hazard duty undergo cyborg limb replacement to give them strength and stamina needed to operate their heavy armor for extended missions. They are armed with concussion rifles and heavy repeating blasters. Magma Stormtroopers, or Lava Troopers. Specially trained to operate in active geological vents, magma troopers are deployed to volcanic mines where the collection of rare ore is threatened by rebel guerrillas. The armor of a lava trooper is reinforced with Duralex to withstand extreme temperatures of up to 1900 degrees centigrade. Magma stormtroopers are armed with heavy blasters and an SS Mobile Tech flamethrower. Radiation Zone Assault Stormtroopers, or RAD Troopers. Radiation Zone Assault Troopers, or RAD Troopers, are deployed in heavy radiation zones, such as those found in inhospitable but strategically valuable planets or battlegrounds scarred by the detonation of fission weapons. The silver-coated armor of a RAD Trooper is lined with a lead polymer that blocks electromagnetic energy. Powered by a backpack unit, it also guards its wearer against outside contaminants by maintaining a breathable, temperature-controlled environment. RAD Troopers carry modified blaster weapons that are unaffected by radiation surges. Standard equipment also includes handheld sensors to measure the level of background radiation and to determine the potential risk to Imperial slaves that might be assigned to work in the area. Riot stormtroopers. The insidious influence of the Rebel Alliance has spread corruption even within loyalist populations. When civil unrest is detected, riot stormtroopers step in to re-establish Imperial order. They are deployed almost exclusively on megapolis worlds throughout the core and colonies, the disobedient worlds that require parental discipline. Riot stormtroopers are trained at the same Yukar Academy as the Emperor's Royal Guards. They are unmatched in personal combat and the use of staff weapons such as the stun baton. They prefer direct combat and do not fear becoming overwhelmed by crowds. Desert stormtroopers, or sand troopers. Sand troopers are stationed on hot, dry worlds where storms of sand, ash, or other particles can clog breathing filters and jam machinery. A sand trooper's armor features an advanced filter flush system for steady breathing, plus cooling recirculators and polarized helmet lenses to eliminate dune glare. Their SD-48 survival backpacks permit them to complete extended missions in unrelenting heat. Each backpack contains several liters of purified water, a miniature vaporizer for condensing drinking water from the atmosphere, a long-range comlink, and a collapsible reflective shelter. Imperial Jump Troopers, or Sky Troopers. The colorful heritage of the Sky Troopers encompasses the rocket jumpers of the late Mandalorian period, the airborne clone troopers of the Clone Wars, and even the infamous jetpack warriors of Mandalore. Like those who came before them, Imperial Jump Troopers are experts in air-to-ground attacks. Each Jump Trooper wears an AGP-400 hush about jetpack modified for up to 2 minutes of continuous operation. Jump Troopers don't remain airborne for sustained battles. Instead, they use their jetpacks to reconsider the battlefields, reach inaccessible areas, land undetected behind enemy lines, or gain elevation to fire on enemies. They carry heavy plasma disruptors and employ a variety of projectile weapons including rocket launchers, explosive railguns, and anti-infantry Fletch canisters. Cold Assault Stormtroopers, or Snow Troopers. Like their name suggests, snow troopers are trained for operation in Arctic environments. Their insulated armor features an Arctic camouflage white body glove as an additional layer of thermal protection. Manual controls for regulating the suit's internal systems are located on the breastplate. The lenses of the Stormtrooper helmet act as polarized snow goggles, while the faceplate is covered with breather hood to recirculate air for warmth and prevent ice from forming in the helmet's atmospheric filter. Each snowtrooper carries a survival kit containing a portable heater, a collapsible shelter, spare power packs, a homing beacon, a comm unit, and ion flares. Wetland Assault Stormtroopers, or Swamp Troopers. The lightweight armor of Imperial Swamp Troopers is tinted green for camouflage in forested wetlands. These battle theaters are frequently found near lakes, rivers, and other waterways where settlements tend to cluster on inhabited worlds. Their modified armor incorporates environmental sealants to keep out the many biological perils that thrive in swamps, like toxic bacteria, swarms of stinging insects, amphibious carnivores, and more. Swamp Troopers' helmets are fitted with rebreathers to filter breathable oxygen and allow them to operate underwater for a limited time. The lenses of the helmet feature multispectral viewfinder and a terrain mapping software. Swamp Troopers carry heavy repeating blasters, and their survival kit includes an emergency float and a serrated vibroknife. Zero-G Assault Stormtroopers, or Space Troopers. Widely considered the best soldiers in the galaxy, Imperial Space Troopers specialize in assaulting and capturing enemy starships. Like the Imperial Marines, They serve aboard the vessels of the Imperial Navy. Unlike the Marines, space troopers operate best in the airless interstellar void. Space troopers' armor comes in several configurations, but all models incorporate vacuum sealing and safeguards against hyperspatial radiation. The armor also includes propulsion system and a small arsenal of anti-starship weaponry. While space trooper assault armor is aggressively bulky within standard gravities, it excels with a space trooper is launched from a Gamma-class assault shuttle. Essentially, a zero-G assault stormtrooper is a small single-pilot spacecraft. Several weapons are incorporated into the space trooper armor. Laser torches for cutting into the hull of a target vessel are located on the upper forearm. The right gauntlet features a blaster cannon, while the left boasts a proton torpedo launcher. 2 soldier-mounted grenade launchers can be used to release gas or smoke grenades after gaining access to a ship's interior. Scout troopers, or biker scouts. Imperial Scout troopers, or biker scouts, are experts in mobile reconnaissance, trained infiltration, and survivalists. Equipped with a 74Z speeder bike, they lead patrols to determine the strength of enemy forces or perform hit-and-fade attacks in support of a larger ground force. Scout troopers' armor is lightweight to allow for a full range of movement. Their helmets incorporate micro-binocular scopes and terrain-following tactical readouts. They carry holdout blaster pistols as well as collapsible E11 blaster rifles outfitted with sniper scopes, which allows them to eliminate targets from a distance. A Scout Trooper field kit contains rations, a reel of microcord with a grappling hook, a shielded comlink, a camouflage shelter, a water purification kit, flares, and an R4 recon droid. Elite Stormtrooper units. The Emperor's Royal Guard. Charged with the personal protection of His Imperial Majesty, the Royal Guard is the most important unit within the Imperial military. Candidates for the ranks of Royal Guard are handpicked from the academies and from within the ranks of the Stormtrooper Corps. They are trained in combat techniques as well as the art of Enchina, unarmed combat at the Imperial Royal Guard Academy on Inshore. They practice against one another inside the Squall Arena. Their final test, held under the Emperor's watchful gaze, is a battle to the death. The survivor joins the Royal Guard. Beneath their crimson robes, Royal Guards wear battle armor inspired by the legendary sun gods of Thrysis and wield bladed force spikes. It is said that no Royal Guardsman has ever died in battle against an enemy. Nova Troopers. Stormtroopers who have been selected for a place in the Emperor's Honor Guard are recognized as Nova Troopers. Their armor glistens with the ceremonial colors of black and gold. Nova Troopers are rarely encountered outside of official Imperial ceremonies, such as the semi-annual awarding of the Medal of Valor and the Emperor's public address to the citizens of Coruscant at the start of the New Year's Fete week. Coruscant Guard. The Coruscant Guard maintains peace at the Imperial capital, safeguarding its citizens and ensuring the stability of the world our Emperor calls home. The Coruscant Guards works in conjunction with the Coruscant Police, but their members outrank all local law officers. The Coruscant Guards are tasked with maintaining security within key governmental sites, including the Imperial Palace and the Imperium. They also escort high-ranking Imperial senators and moffs. Their armor is optimized for visibility, flexibility, and one-on-one combat. It features extra padding to absorb the impact of blunt trauma and humid lenses that allow the trooper to see in complete darkness. Their helmet vocoders double as a crowd-addressed loudspeaker. The members of the Coruscant Guard carry force pikes, taser staves, and riot rifles. They operate a fleet of rapid deployment airspeeders. The Imperial Storm Commandos. beat the rebels at their own game. The ability to battle a slippery enemy that avoids open combat was the concept behind the formation of the Imperial Storm Commandos. The Storm Commandos are the Special Forces Division of the Stormtrooper Corps. They specialize in countering the insurgency tactics of the Rebel Alliance and putting down insurances of revolutions near rebel hotbeds. Storm Commandos rely on stealth and place an emphasis on sabotage and assassination. Storm Commandos' armor is similar to that worn to Imperial Scout Troopers, but it is matte black, which has earned them the nickname Shadow Scouts. The armor finish features a reflective polymer that scatters light and EM radiation, reducing their sensor profile to almost nothing. The armor also generates a radius of sound dampening up to a meter. Storm Commandos are trained to pilot the TIE Hunter, a shielded TIE variant built to dogfight with the Rebellion's T-65 X-Wing fighter. Stormtrooper Specialization, Experimental and Classified. Shadow Stormtroopers, Black Hole Stormtroopers. Not to be confused with Shadow Scouts, Shadow Stormtroopers serve Agent Black Hole, the head of Imperial Intelligence, and consequently are sometimes called Black Hole Stormtroopers. Their missions are classified, but it is known that Shadow Stormtroopers receive special training in infiltration and ambush tactics. Their distinctive black armor resembles standard issue Stormtrooper armor, but the differences are much more than cosmetic. The armor of a Shadow Stormtrooper is made from a Stygian triparamic polymer that renders it nearly undetectable to sensors. Shadow Stormtroopers are also known to carry personal cloaking devices that warp the light around them for an effective close to invisibility. Terror Troopers. Created as cyborg experiments conducted by the Imperial Development of Military Research, these rare stormtroopers bear the codename Terror Troopers. They specialize in direct combat with sharpened durasteel talons on their feet and hands. Their cyborg limbs give them enhanced strength, speed, and agility. Their masks, which bear a resemblance to the long-dead Separatist leader, General Grievous, provide augmented respiration for the troopers' organic lungs. The Imperial Doctrine. The projection of power, the Emperor's right to rule. We are living in a grand age, one that will shape the galactic civilization for the next 1,000 years. This achievement will be gained through our faithfulness to ideology. I, who have helped shape the doctrine of underlies the Emperor's new order, am uniquely qualified to explain its precepts. You, who are a military commander, will carry out the Emperor's will, should understand and obey. When the Republic perished, the cause was clear. 2 fatal wounds had festered untreated for centuries. First, the Republic sought the input of all its citizens, no matter how petty or imbecilic their concerns were. Second, the Republic valued the superficial appearance of peace. It maintained no armies of its own until a civil war thrust the Jedi onto the front lines alongside newly minted clone troopers. The Republic did not project power internally or externally. In truth, the Republic held no true power at all. The Republic's democracy was a prop for the lazy. It allowed citizens to diffuse personal responsibility throughout the greater whole, ensuring no one would be held accountable for their personal failings. Debates and committees crippled governance and ground progress to a halt. Emperor Palpatine recognizes that all beings are not equal, and that decisions determined by a numerical majority do not make them valid. The Republic's pacifism was a shield for the weak. War in its natural state of things. Consider the fangs of the Rancor, which are honed for survival and used to spill blood. Under Emperor Palpatine's rule, Imperial citizens have the opportunity to test their courage in matters of life and death. Traitors and alien savages who do not bow to our Emperor will seek to challenge our authority, will meet a merciless end. their territories observed and absorbed into our dominion. We are an empire, and we must expand if we are to remain vital. The empire sweeps aside false social constructs in favor of a rule that is clear and absolute. The burdens of unnecessary freedoms have been shed, and the centralized power is made plain. No one doubts their place in the new order. As a commander in the imperial military, you play a vital role in the projection of the imperial power. This authority is needed both internally to keep order on the core worlds and other holdings, and on the frontier where our forces claim new territory in the Emperor's name. The Tarkin Doctrine, a blueprint for supremacy. I am not one to seek glory at the expense of my Emperor, though my restructuring plan has become widely known as the Tarkin Doctrine, through no effort of my own. When I first brought the proposal to Emperor Palpatine's attention, I knew with confidence that a man in his position would value the ideas of a similar visionary. The Tarkin Doctrine is the next stage in the development of the New Order. With 3 guiding principles, the Empire will at least and last dismantle the lingering constructs of the Old Republic and inspire discipline through intimidation. Principle 1. Territorial consolidation. The Republic divided the galaxy into thousands of sectors, each with a senator and each purporting to represent trillions of citizens. This system birthed noisy chaos. Yet, like the Virgil Imperial Senate, fragments of this system still remain. The Imperial Senate will soon be erased, and under the Tarkin Doctrine, so will the primacy of the sector governments. The existing galactic map will be divided into oversectors, each encompassing dozens or hundreds of smaller sectors. A Grand Moff will command each oversector and receive generous military allotments appropriate to his station. Oversectors will allow the Imperial military to react swiftly and decisively. For too long our enemies have relied on a strategy of raid and retreat, secure in the belief that a single hyperjump would place them outside the jurisdiction of the nearest sector patrol. A Grand Moff in charge of an oversector will not think twice about crossing sector borders, nor will he need any consult any local politicians considering the actions of the Empire. I am the first of the Grand Moffs, having been appointed to the rank by Emperor Palpatine himself. I have assumed control over the oversector outer, encompassing all Imperial holdings throughout the Outer Rim territories. This dominion is vast, unbroken ribbon territory. My own empire, one might say, though I am quick to discourage those who offer such praise. My actions serve His Imperial Majesty. Principle 2. Rapid communication. The HoloNet, which permits face-to-face communication across light years and thousands of light years, is one of the wonders of the galactic technology. Therefore, it is too valuable to leave in the hands of the Republic. Under the Tarkin Doctrine, all HoloNet transceivers will be relocated to the Imperial sector groups, and the entire network will be reprioritized into the coordination of military forces. Each sector flagship will receive its own transceiver and remain in direct contact with Oversector Command, while Oversector Command will maintain a direct link with the Imperial High Command on Coruscant. Our enemies who lack this ability will operate at a severe disadvantage. Furthermore, far-flung Imperial sectors can no longer run wild from lack of discipline, not with the central authority watching their every move. Principle 3. The Rule of Fear. As a military commander, you know that Imperial Armed Forces excel at spreading terror. Star Destroyers, AT-ATs, and stormtroopers are more than tools. They are symbols of the Imperial strength. This is the idea behind the rule of fear. The fear of attack can be just as powerful as the use of force. Yet, may I point out the flaw? Our Imperial Armed Forces are superior in equipment, training, and numbers. But our enemies already know how to fight soldiers. They know how to engage in conventional Navy warfare, and how to destroy armored vehicles during a planetary invasion. These battle tactics have existed for millennia. However, with a weapon only Imperial resources can produce, one with effect so devastating it defied rational explanations, who could counter such a tactic? This extraordinary deterrent could strike a blow so demoralizing the enemy would never recover. It would become a new symbol, one that exemplified the Empire's invincibility. By wielding such a tool, we would extinguish all hope of resistance. This is no dream. I have made it my calling to research and produce such a superweapon for the Empire's use. With only a handful of superweapons, the whispers fanned by propaganda, citizens will be warned against disobedience. If defiance persists, troublesome populations will be sacrificed as an example. Once the Tarkin doctrine takes hold, the Empire's rule will be absolute throughout the galaxy. The Rebellion, a malignant threat to Imperial order. Implementation of the Tarkin doctrine is critical, for the Empire is under siege by malcontents and traitors. Foremost among them are the fools who have pledged themselves to the alliance to restore the Republic. They are a gaggle of traitors, and bleedings know nothing. Rebels. They are convinced they can return to a time of idealism that only exists in their hazy memories and limited imaginations. The Republic has been dead for 2 decades, and in light of the Empire's triumphs, the Republic's failings have never been plainer. Regrettably, the rebels cannot go unignored. Across the Empire, their cowardly methods have brought death to soldiers and citizens alike. The origins of the rebellion are rooted in the Clone Wars. A political minority, calling itself the Delegation of the 2000, tried to force its will on Supreme Chancellor Palpatine. Senators Bail Organa of Alderaan and Mon Mothma of Sandrilla, despite holding seats on Palpatine's loyalist committee, demanded concessions that would have drained executive power and returned it to their greedy, grasping hands. When their desperate attempt to reassert control failed, the new order arose. The Emperor issued arrest warrants for the majority of those who had signed the petition of the 2000. Organa and Mon Mothma held on to their political careers through outward obedience. Behind the scenes, they masterminded the unification of disparate bands of insurgents into what termed the Rebel Alliance. The rebels are traitors and insurrectionists. By their actions, they have earned death sentences. It is the existence of the rebellion that underscores the need for superweapons, and if civilians die in the process, that is what it's meant to be. We cannot expect our hands to stay clean when scouring the galaxy of rebel scum. The rebellion active threats. The rebels have pieced together a military force and placed it under the command of the aging generals. They have troopers, capital ships, ground vehicles, and starfighters. Their recruits are often raw and untested. Their officers are often out of touch and deluded, hoping to relive the Clone Wars triumphs. Page's Commandos. The rebels are defined by their reliance on guerrilla fighting. Rebel special forces excel at such tactics, and Page's Commandos are the worst of the worst. Committed to sabotage and wanton destruction, the members of Page's Commandos have been prioritized by the Imperial intelligence for capture and interrogation. Unit specialties: demolitions, kidnapping, terrorism, inspiring widespread planetary insurgency. Key personnel: Major Bren Derlin, Lieutenant Judder Page. Red Squadron. The Rebellion has been building a fast strike fighter force for years, and recently received the boon when they acquired the designs of the T-65 X-Winger fighter from an unfaithful income engineer. Red Squadron is composed of the Rebellion's premier fighter pilots. The unit primarily flies the X-Wing, but relies on the BTL A4 X-Wing for heavy bombing. Their growing list of successes has prompted Alliance Command to list Red Squadron as a floating unit that can be reassigned at will. Operations Theater in space. Unit specialties: starfighter dogfighting, convoy raids, convoy escort missions, planetary strafing, and bombing runs, capital ship harassment. Key personnel: Commander Nara, Lieutenant Wedge Antilles. Superweapons by the Imperial Department of Military Research, or IDMR. Limitless military strength packed into a single destructive machine. It is no fantasy. For millennia, concentrated firepower has been sought by warlords and kings. Here, at the IDMR, we have discovered new means to harness the power of enormous kyber crystals, only spoken of in legends. We are hard at work, crafting the next generation of superweapons in the service of Emperor Palpatine. What is a superweapon? An excellent question. Superweapon is an inexact term, but generally describes any weapon that has a destructive capability far outstripping anything else on the battlefield. During Coruscant's murky prehistory, a gel cinderstaff might have passed for a superweapon. In modern times, we have the ability to shatter Coruscant itself, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Did superweapons exist before the Empire? Oh, indeed. I must say, however, that the IDMR has raised the science of superweapons to a rare art. You only need to look up the records concerning the Starforge of the Rakata to read on historical superweapon. This space station produced unlimited war material day and night, never ceasing. Or performed a search on the Shakin device. This primitive construct would ignite the universe into a conflagration or collapse it into a singularity, depending on which genre or holo thriller you prefer. Other stories tell of weapons of immense scale activated during the ancient battles between Sith and Jedi. Here are two of my favorite examples. You can see why the IDMR is inspired to outdo the monuments of our ancestors. The shock drum. The Sith Empire built this device more than 3 millennia in the past, taking advantage of the period of détente in its war against the Republic. When placed on the surface of a planet, the shock drum emitted a concentrated ultrasonic waves. Over the course of hours or days, these waves grew in strength until they shook continents. Though never tested, a shock drum left unattended would in theory tear a planet apart. Active weapon: ultrasonic resonator. Historical destructive output: disabling of electronics and weakening of structural supports within a slowly expanding radius. Further destructive capability unverified. The mass shadow generator. Here is a clever conceit, exploiting the quirks of hyperspatial physics. If the surviving documentation is correct, the reactor that powered the mass shadow generator existed in real space and hyperspace simultaneously. This allowed it to tap into the latent energy of a planet's mass shadow and release it as a dangerous gravity wave. Records say that the Republic installed the mass shadow generator at Malachor 5 near the end of the Mandalorian Wars. Did it work? There's no Malachor 5 anymore, so it certainly did something. Active weapon: hyperspatial gravimetric generator. Historical destructive output: annihilation of capital ships and space stations. Unverified destruction of planetary core. So what superweapons does the Empire currently have at its disposal? More than you think. I will detail some below, but understand that even with your level of security clearance, many active projects just remain classified. The torpedo sphere. A torpedo sphere is an orbital siege platform approximately 1,900 kilometers in diameter. Each is equipped with 125 separate clusters of proton torpedo tubes. By firing proton torpedoes in rapid succession, a torpedo sphere can lay waste to surface targets and capital ships. The Empire has put hundreds of torpedo spheres into production over the last few years, so if you haven't seen one yet, you will soon. Active weapon, proton torpedoes. Destructive output, concentrated. Consecutive damage caused by repeated torpedo impacts within a small radius. Can destroy a capital ship or firebomb a large city. Visual electromagnetic intensifier. Not as many VEIs have made it into service as I'd like, and for that I blame myself. The deployment of the VEIs is both difficult and time-consuming. This weapon is a network of satellites in stable synchronized orbit above a target planet. It amplifies light, causing blinding and burning effects on a surface population. Boil the seas? With the VEI, it's never been easier. Active weapon, amplified electromagnetic radiation. Destructive output, increased temperature, catastrophic flooding, droughts, firestorms, more. The orbital night cloak. Recently, the IDMR tweaked the visual electromagnetic intensifier and relaunched it as a fresh new brand, the orbital night cloak. This weapon deploys as a satellite network in the same fashion as a VEI, but it performs the opposite function. The orbital night cloak intercepts visual light and other EM wavelengths, plunging a planet into a night that never ends, until you decide it can. While it's true that the destruction of a single satellite will short out the entire network, is that not why there is a Navy? To keep the satellite safe? The IDMR can't do everything. Active weapon, interception of electromagnetic radiation. Destructive output, decreased temperature, catastrophic ice buildup, mass agricultural die-off, planetary famine, more. So what super weapons can we expect from the IDMR in the near future? How I wish I could answer that question to the full extent of my expertise. Suffice it to say the researchers are quested at testing facilities and think tanks across the Empire, tucked away from prying eyes and rebel sabotage. The projects listed below are experimental and not yet ready for deployment. I hope they give you a taste of the bright glories to come. Super Laser Star Destroyer. A Star Destroyer is the backbone of the Imperial Navy. Through retrofitting, we have learned how to make a super laser the backbone of a Star Destroyer. Such a weapon would allow a Star Destroyer to break apart a small moon or crack a continent in half. Testing has begun on the Conqueror, with more to come as soon as we solve issues of miniaturization and power output. Active weapon, super laser generator and focusing dish. Anticipated destructive output, annihilation of a small moon, less than 200 kilometers in diameter. The metal crystal phase shifter. I'm quite fond of the MCPS, though I do recognize we will need to rename it before it is put into active service. In early testing, the MCPS projects an energy field that weakens the molecule bonds of a target. A section of the Durasteel bathed in an MCPS field will quickly be riddled by thousands of imperceptible cracks. If this should happen to a pressurized hull of a warship, such flaws would trigger a catastrophic loss of structural integrity and sudden venting of ship's atmosphere into space. Active weapon, classified, MCPS molecular configuration field. Anticipated destructive output, capital ships and smaller starships, destroyed indirectly through hull weakening. The Omega Frost. TAGCO, a nationalized imperial corporation, has contributed to encouraging developments for a project dubbed Omega Frost. This weapon uses two conductor towers to project an energy field across thousands of kilometers. Within this field, moisture is instantly flash frozen, and molecules have minimal vibrations as they approach absolute zero. Active weapon, freeze ray. Anticipated destructive output, shattering most vehicles and structures, instant death for any biological beings. World Devastator. Now there's a name Copnor would love. my colleague Dr. Leth has allowed me to reveal only the most basic information concerning this promising line of research. World Devastators are battle wagons that hover above a planetary surface on anti-gravity repulsors. They project a powerful tractor beam from their ventral bay and draw ground-level detritus into their bellies where it's smelted into raw ore. Internal factories then churn out automated attack fighters to provide the World Devastators with a defense escort screen. Active weapon, overpowered tractor beam, and rapid production of attack assets. Anticipated destructive output, prolonged, sustained damage to planetary infrastructure. Imperial DS-1 Orbital Battle Station, the Death Star. Again, I've been permitted to share only the essentials of the IDMR's crowning achievement. The DS-1 is the cornerstone of the Imperial Projection of Power doctrine, and those who understand the principle of rule by fear will appreciate the name by which the DS-1 is to be referred in the low-security communiques likely to be intercepted by Bothan's spy network, and from there make their way to the hands of the rebels, and that name is the Death Star. The Death Star is the culmination of over 2 decades of military research. It began as the weapon, a project hatched by the Geonosian hives during the Clone Wars, and intended for use against the Republic by the Separatists. That design was merged with the plans for the expeditionary planet Planetoid, co-developed by the Starship designer Signar and our very own Grand Moff Tarkin. The result is the DS-1. Construction of this metal moon has been one of the greatest achievements of the Imperial Age. The Death Star, conceived by geniuses, was built upon sturdy backs of constricted Wookiee laborers. At last the Death Star is complete. The Imperial commanders are now free to marvel at its polish and power. Will more Death Stars follow? Only time will tell, but at the IDMR we have explored 2 scenarios. Under the first, factory worlds will switch their output to the production of assembly line duplicates of the current DS-1 design. Under the second, the Empire would build an even larger and more dangerous Death Star, one that would be 160 kilometers in diameter. I am confident that this is the only beginning. I have spent a lifetime in the field of weapons research, and no client ever settles for a single ultimate weapon. Note, if questioned by non-Imperial news outlets concerning the DS-1 battle station, or Death Star, please use its official title, Imperial Planetary Ore Extractor. As a precaution, report the questionnaire to the Imperial Security Bureau for a thorough follow-up. Overall configuration, 120 kilometers in diameter, 2 polar hemispheres, 12 radial zones, 1 kilometer wide equilateral trench, quadrinium steel hull, sufficient power, supplies, and consumables for 3 years of continuous operations. Personnel, 343,000 naval crewers, 27,000 naval officers, 57,300 gunners, 285,700 maintenance and support staff, 167,200 pilots, 42,800 starship support staff, 607,400 army troops, 26,000 stormtroopers, 400,000 droids, and an estimated 843,000 passengers. Composite beam superlaser. Position, Northern Hemisphere. 8 particle accelerator tubes project individual beams that converge above a focusing dish to form a single superlaser beam. Power output, variable. Settings range from capital ships to planets. Approximate superlaser recharge time ranges from 1 hour to 24 hours. Range, 47,060,000 kilometers. Secondary weapon systems. 15,000 turbo laser batteries. 5,000 TIAM XX9 heavy turbo lasers. 2,500 SB920 laser cannons. 2,500 Defense MS-1 ion cannons. 1,400 laser cannons. 768 Phylon tractor beam generators. And 440 proton torpedo banks. Reactor. Sinar Fleet Systems Hypermatter Reactor. Thermal exhaust port vents hypermatter reactor wastes. City sprawls. The DS-1 interior is divided into 84 internal levels with 257 sublevels each. The station's habitable zones are arranged in self-contained, city-sized units replicated in near-identical configurations. Common features include armories, detention blocks, weight suppressions, stormtrooper barracks, conference rooms, TIE fighter hangars, 72 TIE mounted to ceiling racks, shuttle bay landings, atmospheric containment by magnetic field. Starship and vehicle complement. 7,000 TIE fighters, 4 strike cruisers, 3,600 assault shuttles, 1,860 dropships, 1,400 AT-AT walkers, 1,400 AT-ST scout walkers. Hyperspace and sublight engines. 2 SEPMA 35 sublight engines, max sublight speed of 10 mglt. Class 4.0 hyperdrive containing a 123 ISO-SIM interleaked hyperdrive generators, and a Class 20.0 backup hyperdrive. Overbridge. This shielded war room is located above the super laser focusing dish. From here, the Executive Command can oversee operations of the Death Star, supervise the battle stations attached to the Imperial Army, Navy, and Stormtrooper Corps, as well as have access to tactical holograms and secure communications booth. Throne Room. Located atop a 100-meter tower near the Northern Pole, this room provides full amenities for His Imperial Majesty, including a private turbolift and throne with command controls. Access to this room is granted to the Emperor, his advisors, and his royal guard. A concluding note from His Imperial Majesty. You now have vital knowledge of the Empire's armed forces, but this volume is still the smallest part of your lesson. You are a commander. In this role you must excel. To excel you must fight, and when you fight you may die. Yet, even death, you'll never be defeated, for the Empire, held aloft in the soldiers of its warriors, is ever victorious. The Imperial Navy, Imperial Army, and the Stormtrooper Corps will fight on after you have fallen. Through your service, we vanquish our enemies. Through the staggering power of our superweapons, we ensure that our beaten foes stay cowed. There is no greater calling than to wear the uniform of the military commander. Go forth and enact my will. Emperor Palpatine. The end.